Is It Cake? Season 2 is everything. Everything I wanted it to be, AJ. Did you know that? Season 2, Is It Cake?
I still have no idea what that is. But
I know you're lying to me. I know you're lying. No, don't you try to you try to change the topic.
I told you.
You're like happy. No, like you stop it with your happies, okay?
Wait a minute.
Is it cake? Yeah,
I thought I was just thinking.
You were trying to shut down my topic and change it to something you were more interested in. And there's nothing more interesting, AJ, than Is It Cake Season 2.
I was going to say Happy 4th of July Eve, Brian. And
I know you were going to. Shut that shit down.
I think it means we should all play some Fantavision in celebration.
You're worse than Miles sometimes.
You gonna play Fantavision?
Do you know that you're worse than Miles sometimes?
I don't know. Miles is great.
Miles is pretty great. I set the bar high. All right, man. Yeah, happy Independence Eve, folks. Is that a thing? Independence
Welcome
Eve?
to Earth.
Oh! It's the line from the movie. Yeah, got it. Okay, let's start the show. This is a fucking disaster.
I thought you started it.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll go back in time and I'll start.
Welcome to Earth
right now. We're gray. This is season 2 of Is It Cake, where we film live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube. We do it live. We cut things, objects around the room, and you have to figure out whether it is real or if it's cake. My name is Brian Paul from this channel right here, PSVR without Parole, and the gentleman to my far right, from the far deep south, it's AJ from the underground, PSVR Underground.
Yeehaw! What is up, Brian? What is up, GameCats? Good to see you. Happy Monday. Sorry, we were off last week, but
I'm off every week, man.
Yeah, man. But it's good to be back. It's good to see you, lovely bunch. Been reading all of your comments, and I gotta say, Brian, this is the most attractive chat I have ever seen on YouTube.
It's also the cakiest chat I've ever seen. I think half of them are cake, AJ. I bet if we cut into them, they shall not bleed. They shall be vanilla marble cake.
Yum.
Yeah, no shit.
Well, I don't want to say it, but I'm not a big fan of cake.
Dude,
that should not surprise you.
Sometimes you're the worst co-host ever.
That really shouldn't surprise you at this point.
Is it pie, AJ? Is it pie? What's your favorite kind of pie?
I don't like pie more. I dislike pie more than cake. I actually kind of like cake sometimes.
What about like with vanilla ice cream? A big fucking fat slice of Brownies. American pie on July 4th
Brownies
with a big
ice cream
scoop of vanilla ice cream. I mean, yeah, ice cream, man, makes everything better. A la mode, as the kids say. A la mode means in the fashion, because the kids are all into French sayings.
We need cake and ice cream in VR is what we need. We have math VR. We have break stuff. Why can't we have something else that's stupid like cake and ice cream that's at least delicious?
We have Cooking Simulator VR coming to PSVR 1 and 2. Yeah, that's a thing. So
I don't like cooking sims.
I mean, what if they let you bake a cake?
I don't like cake. But I'll get damn good at it through the power of VR. It'll teach me how to do it in real life, and then maybe I'll start to like it, and it'll just change my whole life.
AJ, somebody said in the comments that Brian, that's me, always his resting face looks like the Blue Steel face.
Yeah, I saw that comment. It was pretty funny.
So I had to Google that because I was like, I didn't know what it was, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty fucking accurate. I don't even know. I don't pay attention to myself during the show. I generally have myself pretty much covered up, so the faces I make, I'm trying to look at you, man, because I'm having a conversation with you, and I know you're looking at the chat. So nope. So that means no one's looking at me.
It's just a mess. Yeah. It's just all a mess.
Yep. But that's I think that's fucking hilarious. Once I saw the picture, I was like, okay. I'm like, not trying to hide it, man. I think that might be an accurate statement.
It's one of those good, terrible movies.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Never seen it.
It's terrible.
You shouldn't be surprised that I haven't
But
seen it.
it's kind of good.
Yeah, I don't like Ben Stiller. I don't like most over-the-top comedies. You know me. No surprises here. AJ, what is going on over in the land of PSVR Underground? I feel like I haven't checked in with you. I feel like you've been doing a lot of stuff on your channel, and I have no idea what any of it is.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I did have my interactive chat Thursday where I talked about Synapse a good bit. Honestly, I've been fucking working way too much. I worked over 60 hours last week to the point where I was starting to feel ill. So I had to take it easy this weekend. And yeah, man, I mean, I shared my thoughts on Synapse, which comes out tomorrow. Look, I think it's going to land well with people. I think it's going to be really, really fun to play. I do have some, what I feel are valid complaints about it, but I also think it is a really fun game. And it's like, well, that's the least you can do to get things right, is make it really fun. And so, yeah, I'm excited for people to check it out tomorrow, whoever picks it up, and here's some of the reactions, impressions from the general audiences. And but yeah, man, other than that, honestly, I was a little just like, just overwhelmed, tired, and I needed a little bit of a palate cleanser. We do this so much because we love to, but at some point it does like become work. And, there's like, I don't know, after playing like 85 games in the PSVR2 library to like damn near completion, it's like, okay, I need a little break. So I actually busted out the N64. And I was just chilling in bed, recovering, playing some N64, playing some PS1, playing a lot of retro games, some Super Nintendo.
That's so great. That's so great.
Yeah, it was so great, man. It was so fun because, we played stuff forever, and
you know we're not moving on from this part of the conversation for at least 30 minutes, AJ. I need to know what retro games you've been playing, because I was just thinking, like, I've got a TV in the bedroom and there's nothing hooked up to it. It's a Amazon TV. I've got a bunch of streaming apps on it, but I'm like, fuck this, I got to hook up my old PlayStation 2 to this thing and have some place to just kind of play those old games, play PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games. I've got hundreds of those.
Yeah, I honestly, I had like an idea of what I was going to say I was playing, because I honestly played a bunch of stuff, but I'm completely blanking now. But I know I played stuff like Mario Kart 64, which good. I'm like, how is this still so good? Like, this is still so much fun. I played Castlevania Aria of Sorrow.
Nice. The GBA one.
Yeah, I got that going.
So good.
Yeah, really, really good. I'm a big fan of Castlevania. So yeah, and then I just played a bunch of just random stuff and some good retro goodness, man.
Excellent.
It felt good. I'm ready to jump back into some VR now.
It's free VR real estate. It says I'm an F-Zero man. F-Zero is always good.
I played some F-Zero X. Yeah, I played some of that.
I like F-Zero. I always felt like Wipeout did the whole thing, futuristic racing thing, better. Like because F-Zero never leaned into the weapons, right? Like, it was always just about racing, and Wipeout had all this cool ass weapons.
It's Nintendo, just what they get right, man, is like they just have games that are really fun gameplay, and like they're just so full of like charm. Mm-hmm. Like, they're so charming, and they're really good at just making games that like anybody can enjoy, and they're so lighthearted, and they just make you feel good, and they crush it, man. I'm so glad they're still around doing their thing, and because it's awesome, man.
Yeah, dude, if I could just take a month off and play Tears of the Kingdom, I think I'd be really happy about that, but I don't think that's going to happen. I never even finished Breath of the Wild, and I loved that game, so I don't know. Hey, in the chat, we had a living legend with the Canadian $2 tip, says, can't wait for pumpkin pie and vanilla ice cream season. You and me both. Fuck this summer nonsense.
I do like pumpkin pie.
We've barely started summer, and I'm already fucking done with it, dude. Like, it was mildly hot and humid yesterday. I mean, when I say mildly, I mean like barely, and I was like miserable. So this is not gonna go well.
I'm freezing, man.
You're freezing?
I'm always super cold.
Do you have the AC pumping? What's going on? You're in the South. Like the South
the
is
South,
freezing.
the dirty South.
For reals.
It gets cold here, man.
Yeah, but not as cold and not for as long. And it gets way hotter, I'm sure, for way longer and way more humider. Jim Perono with the $2 tip. Thank you, JP. Says PSVR2 progress report. It definitely doesn't suck.
That is true.
That's especially true now with my Hans VR.
Good night, everybody.
Right. Yeah, show's
That's
over.
The closer.
Damn it, JP, you ruined the punchline.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Dead Ringer, the Game Cat, with the $2 tip says, it's Little Ringer's birthday today. Happy birthday, Little Ringer. What did Little Ringer get for his birthday? Like, I'm always curious. Like, what do kids want, dude? What do kids want? Do they just want like V-Bucks? Everybody waiting for AJ to say, I don't know what V-Bucks are.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of like something that's popular on like TikTok would probably make a great gift. Like one of those orange smoothie or purple smoothie things.
You mean the Grimace's birthday shakes?
The Grimace's birthday shakes. That's what everybody wants for their birthday. That's what you should get them for their birthday.
This right here, the last 12 seconds, is as in touch with a younger audience as we've ever been, AJ. The fact that you even brought that shit up. Amazing. Tatum says, nah, it's Roblox now. Robux for Roblox. Yeah, V-Bucks is for Fortnite. You can buy skins and all that kind of shit. So season passes, battle passes. I mean, so
happy birthday, Ringer.
AJ, I mean, do you feel as though you've gotten Synapse out of your system? Do you feel as though we can move on from Synapse? Because we definitely talked about it at length on Friday with Miles. You talked about it on your show. If you're interested in talking more about it, we can kind of throw this into the run of show. But if you feel as though you've said your piece and just want to send people over to PSVR Underground, click the link in the description below. Go check out AJ's channel and watch his video over there. Is that good enough, or do you want to? Do you have anything extra to say?
I mean, I would just share some final thoughts, and that a lot of people have different experiences playing games constantly, and like with Hubris, you and I had a great time. We didn't run into any issues, and yeah. And then we hear a bunch of people running into lots of issues. I mean, and with like even proof of videos and saying like, oh, there's this bug, there's that bug. I did not come across that after playing through it twice. And I feel like that's kind of my experience with Synapse, is that like it's a good, if not great game. I think of it as a lot like either like a super hot, or like I feel like it's going to grab hold of a lot of people, kind of like a super hot. Or what was the other game I was thinking of? Or like, maybe like Light Brigade or something. I don't know. There was some other game I wanted to compare it to, super hot or something else. And I just feel like I was just unlucky with my experience with this game. So I'm not done with it yet. Not even close. Like I want to play it some more. I feel like I've seen most of what there is to see, but there's also, it's really fun to play. So I want to play it some more. And it feels like it could be a good game to jump back into. And but yeah, man, I just feel like I had kind of an unlucky experience, like how we see with so many people with other games. While I do have some valid complaints that I think are, like I said, valid about in terms of like the amount of content in the game. Yeah. I had the same complaints about like Super Hot, where it was like, okay, this lasted like 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, and I was done with it. But it's like, there's a difference. There's a big difference with VR games sometimes where it's like, they do this thing that's designed for VR, and that's what the game is about for you. And you and I or at least myself, am used to these different structure for types of games with like, like I said, I was just playing like Nintendo games that have levels and like level after level. And like, there's a variety of stuff in, they may even have less mechanics, less stuff to them, but they're just like, there's just like more of like a longer, wider loop to them. But yeah, man, I guess I got a couple more things to say. I'm also not the biggest fan of roguelikes, which I think kind of hurt that for me a little bit. But you know what I would love to see, man? What makes me excited is to one day see like a Fracked, Synapse, and like whatever other game, like triple bundle from End Dreams. I'm like, that would be the sickest bundle. Or even if it was just Fracked and Synapse, like double feature game. I'm like, that would be really sick.
Sure, in like 2 years, like when Fract gets ported over to PSVR2 and they can sell the bundle for $30 and you feel like you're getting a real fucking crazy deal. And so you're like, yeah, these definitely feel like $15, $20 games each. Yeah, this is a great deal. Yeah. It makes me more excited. More than anything, it makes me more excited to see what End Dreams has going on next, because obviously they're a super talented team. They make really fun games, right? Despite a few problems we had with Fract, despite a few problems we had with Synapse, like there's no denying these games are fucking so much fun, and that's why they didn't have any fear of putting out a demo to the influencers. That's why they didn't have a fear of putting a demo out for everybody with Fract, because they knew that their games were fun. There just wasn't enough content, and so now with Studio Elevation. Yeah, is that right? That's the AAA team. They like, I really feel like all the stuff that they've learned, getting down basic gameplay mechanics, can now be applied to AAA built from the ground up PSVR2 games that really feel like, you know, and that maybe like will feel like an Uncharted game, right? It'll be drenched in story, drenched in AAA, not just production values, but also game length and in scenery and all that. So I do think we're in for a treat with End Dreams. This is just, I feel like they're just getting started. Because
they're on the right track. They're definitely on the right track, because they do, you know, a lot of people, the big comparison I make to Synapse is like, I get asked about like Light Brigade, like how does it compare to that? I'm like, well, like it's got this more like polished core to it, but then like, you know, like then I think people will take more like immediate satisfaction from the gameplay, the art style, everything from Synapse. But then like, you know, I think some credit has to be given, of course, to Light Brigade for like the variety that it has, like the different environments, the different progression system of the different weapons. I mean, there's people talking about how they can how they've spent like 90 hours in Light Brigade, and I'm like, well, it's like with Synapse, it's like I think people are actually going to like this game more than the Light Brigade. I think it's going to have a bigger following, but it doesn't strike me as a game that you would get the same kind of like longevity out of. No,
you're 100% right. I actually think that if somehow End Dreams could have taken more inspiration from the Light Brigade and introduced different character classes, introduced this much larger progression system, and gave you so many more reasons to play through the level structure, they could have basically addressed all of our complaints. But I totally agree, because so behind the scenes, AJ, I've been trying to come up with my top 25 list for this upcoming Sunday's debate. If anybody doesn't know,
we've been talking.
Oh yeah. So top 25 lists are being created. We're coming up with a format for the debate. So make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be a special show on Sunday around noon Eastern. If we can make sure, if we get everybody around, don't worry, I'll schedule it early. You guys will know when it's happening. And I keep thinking, I'm like, I love the Light Brigade, but it doesn't do what I got from Synapse enough. Like that just visceral feeling of like fast. The telekinesis really, I think, adds so much to it, where it's just like you're always, it feels like you're always doing two things at once, right? You're always grabbing something, throwing it back, shooting, holding something and shooting. Like not to mention,
they're very different despite being roguelikes, both of them.
Yeah, Light Brigade feels more tactical, and this feels more visceral. And I absolutely love both of them, but I bring the top 25 up because I think I just enjoyed my time with Synapse far more than the Light Brigade, and I love the Light Brigade. So it's from a pure fun factor, AJ.
Yeah.
We had a couple more tips I want to read out here. We got Alhambra D, Catalergic Game Cat, a level 3 membership tip. It says, yes, autumn is the shit. My birthday, great game releases, not too hot, not too cold. By the way, as always, thank you guys for all your work. I am right there with you, man. Not too hot, not too cold. And also, I don't think my I think
120 days.
my birthday's technically not in the fall. What's that? We got 120 days until fall?
Until Halloween. I think MRI said that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't forget Halloween. We appreciate that your birthday is in fall, Alejandro, but unless you're inviting us all to your house for a haunted house, we're gonna celebrate Halloween. Living Legend with the Canadian $5 tip says fall is my everybody's in agreement. This is great. Fall is one of my favorite seasons. That's when I go full retro on Genesis, SNES, PS1, PSP, and even Vita games. Although I still don't consider Vita retro. Dude, people consider PlayStation 3 retro, and I think you're all out of your goddamn minds with that shit. Like PlayStation 2
conversation with Julia about like what is retro, and I'm like, right now for me, I think the cutoff for retro, I'll accept like PS1 and N64 is like the cutoff for like retro for
me. You don't even consider like PlayStation 2 or like the GameCube, the original Xbox generation, really?
No, it just feels too soon. It feels like, you know, I think past that 25 around that 20 to 25 year mark is where I start calling things retro.
I would do, as far as I'm concerned, the further back it's called retro, the better. Like I don't like the idea of calling things that I feel like came out very recently retro.
Yeah.
Ben Schroeder with the $10 tip says, shout out to my two favorite PSVR experts. Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you too, Ben Schroeder.
Shout out to you, Ben.
Thank you very much. And we also got Kill Artist 1, the Dreamweaver Game Cat, the $2 tip says, what's up, guys? Did you see the new FNAF trailer? Apparently this new trailer, I was talking to Vader in the voice chat on Discord. Remember, guys, join our Discord because I'm going to steal all your ideas and make GamesCast topics out of them. So make sure you're the one that I steal my ideas from. I was talking to Vader.
The movie or the game?
Movie.
The movie.
Do you remember when the teaser trailer came out? I haven't watched the new trailer. So I got to say that right off the bat. But apparently this is a much better trailer than the last teaser we got. A lot of fans were complaining about the teaser, and this one seems to not have nearly the number of issues.
Looking forward to playing the Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted 2, man. Maybe that'll be a surprise drop this fall, and that should be fun.
That would be great.
I really, really like the first one. I knew nothing about the game beforehand, and nothing about the cult following that it has, but I just thought it was legitimately a good game and scared me.
Yeah, agreed. John Savino's in the chat. He's very, 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 very interested in that Among Us imposter ripoff game that's on the PlayStation Store. John, I included that in PSVR this week about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and there's three different obviously shovelware type titles, all from Midnight Works. That are all planned on coming to PSVR2, and they're all on the PlayStation Store to be wishlisted. I can't wait. Like, I'm going to have so much fun playing those shitty games. There's no way they're going to be good. But, dude, I've checked out some games by Midnight Works. I've seen the trailers, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. But, like, so some of the trailers that they've put up for their mobile games actually look really good. So maybe they're just paying a ton of people to make CGI trailers and shit. But I can't wait,
I don't want to play shitty games anymore.
Dude, I've played so many good games.
I've
played so many good games since launch that I don't mind the shitty game here and there, right? Just for fun, I'll review Among Us imposter spaceship game, whatever the fuck they called it. So, hey AJ, we haven't even started the show yet. You know why? Because every single Monday, obviously we always like to thank all the cats that help this channel run, and all the cats that help this channel run behind the scenes, like all of our mods and stuff like that. Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who doesn't do our timestamps currently because he's on vacation. Please don't ask where the timestamps are. I'm not going to answer you. They'll be back next week. But every Monday we like to thank a whole different group of people. Isn't that right, AJ?
That's right, Brian. We would like to thank those who support us in another way by changing their name to something GameCat, something GameCat related, or something GameCat adjacent, as you and something GameCat adjacent like to say. And this week we have 4 new GameCats to welcome to the GameCat Dojo. Starting with Serial Killer, the Grillin' and Chillin' GameCat. Oh, yeah.
Grillin' and Chillin', that sounds like a 4th of July thing to do.
Yes, sir. I want to do some grilling and chilling tomorrow for sure.
Grill.
Next, we've got Milkaya, the Soul Reaving Game Cat. Ooh, I played Soul Reaver the other day. I had to show Julia. I was like, "Have you ever heard of Soul Reaver?" She's like, "No." I was like, "Okay, let me show you. And I was just like, look how great it is. And like, I'm like drooling over it. And
so I'm assuming the original Soul Reaver on PlayStation 1, the follow-up to Blood Omen Legacy of Kain, that one?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
The Soul Reaver.
Well, there's there's more than one Soul Reaver game, right?
I just call it. Yeah, but everybody knows the Soul Reaver we're talking about. The iconic, like classic Soul Reaver. Anyways, great game.
30 people in the chat just said I've never heard of Soul Reaver. I'm just kidding. but I'm waiting for it. If you've never heard of Soul Reaver, please let me know in the chat, because I guarantee there's at least 30 people, 10% of this chat hasn't heard of it.
We've also got Dutch_DJ. The reprojected Game Falcon.
Bing! So Dutch DJ, layers. You're giving me motion sickness. How dare you, sir?
I'm not buying you anymore. I was going to. Deal breaker. Mm-hmm. Finally, we've got Chris, the Swedish Game Cat.
Bing!
He's from Sweden.
Is there an inside joke about the Swedish? There was something that I remember from like forever ago, like high school or something, like some comedy sketch, or maybe somebody can help me out. But it's on the tip of my brain. I don't know what it is.
Maybe there's like Austin Powers or something. I don't know.
No idea. Somebody in the chat will probably help me, as always.
Everybody knows Soul Reaver, by the way.
Ian Stambridge, by the way, said, "Is Soul Reaver a type of chainsaw?" Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ian. Also, wrong, Matthew Longo, as always. Soul Reaver has aged well, but Blood Omen has not aged poorly. I fucking love Blood Omen, and I hate to say this.
Soul Reaver has aged well. He didn't say hasn't.
No, I agreed with him on that one, but he said Blood Omen has not aged well.
Oh,
and I disagree. I played it recently, and it is still fucking very much fun.
No, I'm with you there. Both Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen, and Soul Reaver they've aged fantastically. It was
confusing and clunky back then, AJ, and it's confusing and clunky today. It has aged perfectly. Guys, if you don't know what the hell we're doing over here, we're giving shout outs to people who change their name to GameCat. Remember, if you change your name to GameCat, all you have to do is change it on YouTube or Google, and then put hashtag GameCat in the comments of any one of my videos, and I will give you a shout out, or AJ apparently will give you a shout out on next Monday's show. Thank you all very much for being awesome. We love you all. Alejandro D, Catalergic Game Cat with $5 tip, says, my birthday is November 2nd, Day of the Dead. Ooh. Haunted house with game cats. Let's see what I can do about that. What's the possibility we could do a haunted house in March at the 2024 Game Cat meetup? Do you think anybody would mind setting up their haunted house from October again in March? To be like, just put it aside and set it back up in Boston for all the cats. No, not the Swedish chef, but thank you, Getting My Belly Game Cat Wilkins with the $5 tip. I'll figure it out. It'll be wrong, and then I'll tell you next episode how I screwed this up. All right, man. Hey, we got a viewer takeover question here. If you guys don't know how to leave viewer takeover questions, it's kind of like leaving a tip here in the chat, except you don't have to pay any money for it. So make sure you join our Discord. Click the link in the description below. Come join us over there. And then in the Viewer Takeover channel, leave your Viewer Takeover questions. Stop answering people's questions in the Viewer Takeover channel. Stop it. It just makes things messy. And I'm OCD. But the Game Cat's Out of the Glue Bagger wrote, hashtag Viewer Takeover. That's right. He's been around forever, dude. Like, he is OG. So
that's my homie.
Yep. So he's not fucking around. He says, hashtag Viewer Takeover. I've been getting motion sickness on PSVR2. And while initially on PSVR1 this was also an issue, I can't seem to shake it on PSVR2. However, I caught Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners 1 and 2 on the last day of the sale and fired it up last night. Absolutely zero motion sickness. I'm pretty sure for me, reprojection is a no-no for most games. And for me, and I'm gutted about it, I read that wrong. Saints and Sinners he's saying that it runs natively at 90 FPS, and this is something that needs looking at. He says, I'm okay with Gran Turismo 7. I guess the cockpit helps alleviate the problem. Mostly okay on walkabout when I'm not looking for balls or on a fox hunt, and I'd say it's down to pretty much zero stick movement. He says, really think that Sony needs to look into this. Sorry, sirens on my end. I'd rather take a hit on graphics than to have to endure reprojection. Maybe a toggleable option. What do you think, AJ? What do you think? Does this sound like he's getting motion sickness because of reprojection?
I have no idea, to be honest with you. They could be a bunch of different things, but obviously reprojection causing sickness is a thing that some people mention. I remember you mentioning that you got these like corrective lenses, or you've gotten some of these lenses for your headset.
The Hans VR lenses, AJ.
Hans VR lenses,
VR.
and I think you said like comfort, look wise, it makes a big difference. Maybe that's something he could look into.
Yeah. The fact that reprojection doesn't bother me nearly as much with the Hans VR lenses on. And again, I'm not going to I'm not going to bat for Hans. I know that a lot of people are saying, oh, so you recommend the Hans? I'm like, well, they're the only ones I've tried so far. Real Optics is sending me a pair. VR Rock is sending me a pair. I've got a couple different lenses coming, so I'm going to be able to compare them and tell you which ones are the best. But so far the Hans VR lenses are great. My prescription is very, very slight. And it basically negates the severe reprojection, like when it gets really muddy, really blurry. That seems to not be as much of a problem with these lenses, and the MR doesn't seem to be that big of a problem either. Unfortunately, since I don't get motion sick, I can't tell you if this will help with motion sickness.
Yeah.
But if Gluebagger is, if he does wear glasses, or if he has a slight prescription that he's not using in VR, then maybe it's something he can potentially look into. Also, just heads up, Walkabout's running at, I believe, 90 FPS, not reprojected.
And that's the thing, is it could be there. I do know that like frame rate and stuff, it can cause issues for some people. I think it's also, I don't really know what it is, man. There's so many different factors that play into it. The reason I mentioned that is because I do know for a fact that different people's visions see different things. I see Spooky Yuki in the chat with the same issue that I have, which is like, I guess a blessing, where it's like, I cannot see this shit. Like, I try so hard, and I guess I can occasionally, but like, I have to really, really try hard to see it for the most part. There's a few moments in a couple games. I mean, even stuff like Red Matter 2, nobody ever mentions this, but I don't know if anybody else saw this, but towards the end of Red Matter 2, the very, very end, I'm talking like last minute or two or something, like I saw really bad Mura. And that was like the first time I saw it. I was like, oh my God, there it is.
Was there a specific place that you can kind of point to? Because like, I'm trying to remember the end and like what happens near the end. I don't want you to ruin anything.
And after the big climax thing, there was just something at the very, very end, and it was just kind of like a bright light or something. And I saw it there, and I was like, oh my God, I can see. But like with reprojection, man, we had this whole talk about it with Hubris and stuff. And I don't think reprojection is what I was seeing with Hubris. I think it's just different games have different graphical qualities, and with some games and the fogging effect, I don't like the way sometimes they do this like fog, that it's like it's supposed to be more realistic, but it actually doesn't look right to me. Quest does this as well. So where it's like, to create a fog effect, it's just like, oh, let's just have a big gray screen effect, and it's just like, it doesn't look good to me. And I don't hear other people talking about it. So I feel like it is a based on vision possible thing. Because man, I've tried. I went and played Horizon Call of the Mountain, and that's the most, I think, the closest I actually got to being able to see it, which was like, and I think the only reason I was able to see it is because the game's so bright and colorful. I think it makes it a little easier to see. But even then, it was just like, and let me tell you, man, if you go looking for this stuff, like, you're gonna get sick if you go looking for this stuff or trying this stuff. It could have to do with vision. It could have to do with play styles. I know when I turn with a joystick, I think I also usually turn my head with it at the same time. That could maybe negate some of that stuff, that feeling. But yeah, man, I don't know. Everyone keeps saying, no, AJ, you just haven't played any games with reprojection. I'm like, no, I have played games with and without it. And like, everything just looks kind of the same to me. I sit here and I go like this, You see how my hand is like, look, Brian, my hand's ghosting.
This is reprojection,
look,
you guys.
This is reprojection. This is what I see, man. This is exactly what I see in real life is what I see in the game. And I'm like, I don't see a freaking difference. Like my hand has I guess real life has reprojection too. I just don't I don't understand. I don't know anymore.
Is this real life?
Whatever. I try, man. Just do this in front of your like face or whatever. And if you see your hand in a wavy motion, it's ghosting. It's like, what's the difference then?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's again, we're still very early on in the PSVR2 lifespan. Things will change over time. Obviously, you know, we've heard multiple reports that that Sony is working on their reprojection system to make it less noticeable, to make it hopefully, you know, to address things like Glubagger's problem, where maybe he's not getting maybe not seeing the ghosting as much and prevent him from getting motion sickness. So we'll see what happens. But just, I mean, like in the meantime, you guys, like just be respectful. I've gotten a lot of comments from people being like, if you can't see reprojection, then you're a shill and you're just lying or whatever. No, you're lucky if you can't see reprojection. That's what you are, right? You're taking the world in and you're seeing it as intended. Just like a lot of people can't decipher the difference between 60 and 120 FPS, like, you know, on a flat screen even. Some people can't see the difference, and to me, it's night and day. So just be respectful. Not everybody's eyes are the same, and it's just going to be a little bit of a rocky start, I think, while we get this shit worked out.
But as for Glubagger, man, I don't know. I'm sure he uses a fan. He says he got used to it. It's got to be. I don't know. You just got to try something different. If it keeps happening, you just got to keep trying something different. Is all I can say. If you use a fan, you know, if you've maybe redo your, mess with your brightness, redo your eye tracking thing setup. I would just keep at it, man. Keep at it.
Yeah, I was just changing the trailer, and now I don't have. Tell a joke. There it goes.
Maxi Me says, "Is No Man's Sky already fixed on VR2?" I will say it's fixed. It's not enhanced. It's not great. But yeah, in case you missed it, they did actually patch it to where it's clear. It's clear. It's mostly clear now. And it looks okay. It looks acceptable, in my opinion. Julie's not happy about it. She plugged up her PSVR 1, and she's been playing No Man's Sky on PSVR 1 because she likes that version more.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's saying something. Yep.
Yeah, it is.
All right. Let's just make sure we didn't miss any tips here. Let me answer Jordy Bird's question in the chat. He says, Bran, that's me, Bran. Do the prescription lenses make the image sharp to the edge? Because as a specs wearer, the sweet spot is 80% of the screen max. The sweet spot has nothing to do with looking to the edges of the lenses. The sweet spot is when you have where the VR headset has to be positioned on your head so that you are seeing the absolute clearest image possible. And so the sweet spot isn't, the 80% that you're seeing. It's just where the headset has to be positioned for you to see the clearest image. And there's just, the thing that people complain about with PlayStation VR2 is that you had to have it positioned in a slightly more precise place than PSVR 1 or the Quest 2 to get that perfect image quality. So that's what we're referring to there. I feel like that sweet spot that I'm referring to isn't as much of an issue when you have perfect vision or the proper lenses on your headset. So I think that possibly the sweet spot has been improved slightly for me. But that's not the thing you're talking about. If you look at the edge of the lenses, yeah, it's not going to be nearly as sharp because that's how lenses are. Living Legend with the Canadian $5 tip says, I copped a pair of lenses from VR Rock, and they're great. Oh, good. Those are showing up. I can't wait to check them out. I chose zero prescription. I got them to protect the built-in lens from grime and scratches. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that that's a bad idea, right? Because if you scratch your lenses, like, how are you going to replace those? Right? So just having something like that on that just slides on and it's just a surface that covers it up, and then all you have to do is clean those and not worry about them. Yeah, I'm very happy with mine. I'm very happy with the protection that they're giving and the prescription that I'm getting out of it. But that's interesting, Living Legend. That's interesting.
I'm hoping to get my prescription Wednesday for my eyes, and I don't wear glasses usually, but I do wear them for like I'm nearsighted, and I have like an astigmatism, a really bad astigmatism, and I wear them for basically like driving, especially driving at night or driving in the rain, or if I rarely go to the movie theaters, I like to use that for that. But I'm looking forward to trying this. I don't think I really need them because I feel like I'm blessed with the perfect vision for VR where I don't see some of the blur and like, you know, sometimes like I don't see the aliasing because my vision's already kind of blurry at that distance. So it like looks normal to me.
Oh, don't. Now you're going to see it all, AJ. Now you're going to see all the imperfections. This is bad. That,
though. I'm like, oh my God, like what's going to happen? Am I going to get these lenses and I'm going to be like, oh, like this looks fucking terrible.
Right,
like I see the mirror. I see the reprojection now.
You take them out, throw them to the ground, stomp on them.
Oh my God, it looks terrible. This could really backfire. I have a few concerns.
Yeah. Oh, and I saw Shen Miazo in the chat. Also, Shen Miazo, thank you so much for the for the Blue Sky key. But no one's on Blue Sky, but man, it's such a great alternative to Twitter, except for the fact that no one's on it. I saw you mention in the chat that if you don't use smooth turning, you'll never see reprojection, and that is, we've been talking about that quite a bit. I think you will see ghosting and you will see frame rate drops if you use smooth turning in a lot of games, but that's not. All it does is kind of exacerbate the reprojection problem because of the frame drops. That's not, as far as I'm concerned, true reprojection. True reprojection is when you're running through the world and you're seeing the edges of things ghost as you run past them, and that's has nothing to do with the smooth turning at all. And so again, like, people are going to see things differently. And if you see things when you're just running through the world, then you're super sensitive to it. And if you don't, well, then you're blessed. AJ, 47 minutes into the show, I think it's finally time to talk about the 1985 classic Outrun.
Oh yeah, I was like, "Where is?"
Yeah, I'm not quite sure where I was going with that. If you're not familiar, guys, with Ivanovich games, games, they're pretty awesome, but they're super independent, right? So they definitely have jank when their games come out. But what they do is they generally look at genres people are interested in, look at classic arcade games, and they convert them into VR in their own little way.
Yeah, like popular retro arcade games, and they do a good job at remaking them.
So the one that I'm thinking of obviously is Operation Wolf, which we're getting an official Operation Wolf soon. But back on PlayStation 1, they brought us Operation Warcade. But what else did they bring us that was
decent? Dude, 1976 Back to Midway was freaking awesome.
Thank you.
They also well, I think that was of their titles. I think that was my favorite. Was 1976 Back to Midway. They also did that like Lawnmower Man kind of.
Beat Blaster.
Beat Blaster, yeah, which was like decent. Like
I thought
it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but yeah, Operation Warcade and I'd say that and 1976 Back to Midway were definitely their most notable titles.
Yeah. So if you guys didn't see the trailer today, it doesn't seem like a lot of people did. Their next project is kind of an Outrun ripoff, Sega classic racing game from the arcades, and they're bringing it into VR. It's first person VR, and they're supporting racing wheels. They're supporting whatever the movement platforms are called. So if you happen to have $1,000 rig to make shit move, like you're gonna feel that in the car. Heads up, this has not been confirmed for PSVR2 yet, but Ivanovich definitely wants to support PlayStation VR2. So just
I'd like to see this because we need more racers, especially arcade racers. We don't really have an arcade racer yet, and while this isn't like the arcade racer looks to be like it looks fun. At least it looks pretty decent, and if it has wheel support, that'd be a big plus for all those people. Yeah. That was the first thing I thought about was like, you see, they're smart. They see all these people that went out and bought PSVR2, assuming it comes to PSVR2.
Right.
All these people that went out and bought these, wheels, they need more content use those things with. Like, this is a perfect opportunity to capitalize on that, in my opinion. And so, yeah, there's and like I said, we need more racers. And from what I saw in the trailer, it looks fun. Like, it looks good. I was a little unsure about. I was like, okay, is this like first person? Is this third person? And because it's talking about like
it's Ivanovich. It's Ivanovich. Yeah, and if you guys played touring carts, remember the fucking ridiculous number of options they gave us with touring carts? Right? And they gave us so many options. Every single control option they gave us different perspective options. And so, like, I mean, so they're just doing it all over again. And hopefully they take everything they learned from touring carts and kind of, polish up their racing engine. I was
forgetting something. I really liked touring carts. I understand it wasn't for everybody, but it was one of the better kind of kart racers we got, I thought.
Yeah.
If not the best.
I mean, unfortunately, the bar was so low. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, VR carts was bad. And I mean, right now, Galaxy Kart is the best kart racer we have on PSVR2. And like, it's fun as hell. It just needs a shitload more content before we really recommend it. Stay tuned on that.
Yeah, a lot of things.
And wheel support.
But I loved seeing the jumping, and it was just weird to me because the trailer's like, oh, they it's designed for, we guarantee you won't get motion sickness, and I just see like them jumping and ramping up, and I'm like, I don't know, like I feel like some people will, but I don't think that's not the most exciting marketing point for me. Is like, no. To me, it was just seeing the first person view, seeing the jumping and the ramping in first person. And racing and multiplayer, I was like, yes, this is what I want. Like, if it's going to be another $10 to $20 game or something, it'd be perfect for this.
And another reason to use my racing rig, man. Like, honestly, when they implement that into Galaxy Kart, I'm actually going to play Galaxy Kart quite a bit. When they implement option to use my racing. My rig, my wheel.
I will.
Dude, we had so much fun playing it for review. Even though it has a lot of problems, right? And
so it's got way too many problems. I'm tired of playing games with so many problems. Like, I know that's like I'm just over it, man.
Sure.
I'm over it.
But anyway, so this looks great. And I do hope that, like, whatever, no disrespect to anybody that does get motion sickness, whatever ways they're avoiding motion sickness in this game, like, you can see whenever the dude crashes in the car, like, the camera stays still and only the car moves. Like, I hope they allow us to change that perspective and move with the car, because I love getting jolted like that and being thrown around in VR. It feels so intense, and that's the kind of stuff that makes other people sick, but that makes me love the experience, because it just feels so crazy and over the top. So I'm really hoping we see more games like this. Half the comments I get on Without Parole are from people saying we need more racing games, we need more flying games, and even if they're little arcade games like this to hold us over till the next big racing game, I am so down, dude. Like, I'm just down for variety. So keep this one in mind. Again, not confirmed for PSVR2 yet, but Ivanovich, big supporter of PlayStation VR since day one, and I guarantee that we'll see this at some point soon. I'm excited. I like the look of this.
I do too.
Does that bring us to our main topic? I think it does.
I believe it does, man.
All right. Well, AJ, I got to tell you, it's been 5 months since PSVR2 came out, and I feel like it's time to give this thing some grades. We need to discuss how it's been doing in school, if it plays well with others. The progress report time, man. Did you ever get progress reports in school? Did you ever dread this shit like I did? Did you ever hide them from your parents? Did you ever get in trouble for that? Because I did all the time.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It was mostly fine. I was an okay student.
Do you think Sony's going to want to hide this from their parents?
No. But I think their parents are going to be a little disappointed. Real life.
We raised you better than this, young Sony. Yeah, very true. Before we get on to this, Living Legend with the Canadian $10 tip says, Runner on the PSVR2 looks and plays glorious. No reprojection, 90 FPS, and looks sharp too. It's in my top 5 favorite games on PSVR2. This is the closest we got to Twisted Metal VR experience, and I'm loving it. Man, stay tuned on Sunday, the 9th, around noon Eastern, to see if Runner makes it onto the top 25 list.
Goddamn right it will.
That debate's going to
fight to the death for that. I love that game so much, man. I keep singing its praises. You know, it's sad to me. I was actually just thinking about it the other day. I know we're about to get into a topic, but it reminded me that I was thinking the other day about like how Transformers got all this attention despite being what it is. And I'm like, man, I just hate it that games like Runner get overlooked sometimes, like Runner, Song in the Smoke. You know, some of these games are just so good. Runner is a good example. I'm like, man, if they just like, they would have to compromise what their vision for it a little bit, you know, to make something a little bit more either like licensed or generic, or something. But I'm glad that they stuck with their guns, and just did what they wanted to make. And yeah, man, they made such a fantastic game with Runner. I do 100% think it's one of the best PSVR2 games for a small indie game. Absolutely. Like that's like really, really good. And it's $15. I go crazy when people go, I'll wait for it on sale. I'm like, motherfucker, it's $15. Right. It is on sale. It's $15. And I got like 5 hours out of it total. I don't even know, like 7 hours, something, probably more. It's so good. So good.
Mercutio Core does not want us to start our conversation about the PSVR2 progress report, AJ. He'd rather know, with his $5 tip, our favorite album to listen to while racing. He wrote GT. I'm assuming he means during Gran Turismo.
I listened to, last time I was playing Gran Turismo, I was listening to Gojira's Fortitude, which is pretty fun.
I love that Gojira managed to get brought back up during an episode of GAMESCAST, because the last time I said only 8 people in the chat knew who Gojira was, and
did you get attacked?
Dude, from every possible angle.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. My bad. Yeah. I don't know. I'm a big Brand New fan. So God and Devil Are Raging Inside Me is such a great album. It's like so much fucking quiet parts that switch to like really fucking crazy loud screaming parts. Deja Entendu is fucking incredible from start to finish. So yeah, anything Brand New, anything MCR, anything The Used, anything. Dude, I definitely go a little more, pop, a lot more pop than AJ does. So the pop emo, pop rock stuff, like the Academy is. I'll listen to any of their shit while racing. It's the kind of shit that I also listen to while cleaning the apartment. Like just something to sing along to, scream along to, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, heavy stuff. I definitely is great for me when I'm like mowing the lawn. I love metal when I'm like mowing the lawn, because I'm just like it just gets me pumped and going. When I'm chilling out, when I'm working on stuff, I like some synthwave stuff. There's a really cool band called Volkor X, VOLKOR space X, and they're kind of like sci-fi-ish. They remind me of like sci-fi, just cool sci-fi stuff, like space wave, synthwave stuff. That's really good.
Cool. Yeah, I can't get into synthwave. Like it just doesn't really work for me, and I guess that's why I don't like synth writers as much as the rest of the world. Yep.
But Brian, so it is time to talk about the main subject of today, which is the progress of PSVR2. How are we feeling at this point, having played the majority of the library now? Of course, we got our top 25 list coming Sunday the 9th. Mark your calendars.
It's a big debate. Brew your coffee, order your pizzas. It's going to be a shit show, dude.
I'm liking the design of the layout of how we're going to do this, by the way.
Cool.
Although I disagree that you came up with the last one by yourself.
You disagree
that
you,
Dave, and I thought that we worked together and created that after several trial and errors, and it was glorious. But I do like you. I will give you full credit for this one, which looks actually I like this.
I can't take full credit for this one. This one was not. I will talk all about that on Sunday. That one.
Okay, but anyways, Brian. Yes. How long has it been since PSVR2 came out?
February 22nd, 2023. So we are coming up on just under. It's under 5 months.
Under 5 months.
Right, or just over 5 months. I can't do math, AJ, but it's been a little while, so I figure it's probably time to check in, especially while we have just a few days here between game releases. Synapse just came out in some regions. It will be out
literally just now.
Yep, literally a minute ago. Like we lost 20 viewers the second that Synapse came out. So thank you guys for tuning in as long as you did. Yeah, enjoy Synapse. But yeah, so after Synapse, I think we've got like about a week before we got to worry about anything else. So during this mini downtime, I want to check in on some of the different things that PlayStation VR2 has done well and has not done so well, and grade this fucker and see how it stacks up, man. So yeah. I don't think we go right down. I think maybe we start at hardware. I don't know if you can see on the screen. We'll get back to price and value because I feel like price and value would be something that we reflect on after going through some of the games and the hardware build quality and all of that stuff, and we can kind of give our stamp on the price and value after that. So I'd like to start with the hardware, AJ. And let's start with something very, very basic, and that's the build quality. How do you feel about this? Is it something that you feel like you're going to drop and it's going to break the second it hits the ground? Or are you feeling pretty confident about the way that this thing is constructed?
No, I like the way that it's constructed. I think PSVR1 was actually pretty similar in many ways with the build. And, obviously they took a lot of influence from that in designing this. And I think they do have a similar thing. I think it's important to have a pretty durable headset because of what can happen. It's not like sitting there and holding a controller. There's a lot more action going on while playing. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. I like the design. I like the comfort of it. I don't know if it's as soft and cushy and comfortable as the original PSVR, but it is lighter, which is interesting. Like it seems like they kind of got rid of some of that like extra padding and stuff. But as you know, those headsets had a problem with like flaking at times.
Yep.
So I do feel like the durability is better and it's slightly lighter. Maybe for a small sacrifice of comfort.
Yeah. So I'm going to come at this from a slightly different angle, and that's that I'm still waiting for mine to come back from Sony's repair shop. I sent it out about a month and a half ago. No, at this point, almost 2 months ago, and have not gotten it back from them. It stopped working for virtually no reason at all. The left lens just went completely black, and I had to go out that night in order to keep doing my job. I had to go out that night to a midnight release from Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and go buy a PlayStation VR2. It's the only one there.
It's like this all over again.
Yep.
It's like flashbacks.
Buying a PSVR2 when everyone else was buying Zelda. And they're like, what are you doing here? I'm like, carrying my big, gigantic fucking box out of the store. Everyone else is eating pizza and playing Tears of the Kingdom. And we've heard so many reports from people who have had issues with theirs. The controllers didn't work out of the box. And so from a build quality standpoint, AJ, I don't think we can give this a great score only because of typical launch day issues, right? I think that's a lot of like the early adopters of any system kind of help work out the bugs. They're the beta testers, and I think that I was a victim of that. As far as the build quality itself goes, it seems like it's fine. And if they have to work out some kinks, great. But I'm like around a C for this because of all the problems I've heard about and the problems I've experienced personally.
Yeah, I guess that's the difference is everything's been mostly smooth for me. Even actually, it was weird. Julia put on my headset at one point and she said, yours is more comfortable than mine. And honestly, I think it's just because mine's broken in really nice and well. Like
you got a big head.
This happened on PSVR 1 as well, where like some, if you remember, some had like really tight straps.
Yep.
And it was causing people to get headaches, especially people that are like sensitive to that. And like you put on my headset and dude, it's like a comfy leather couch on your head. I don't know if that's just because like the way I wear it out and stuff is just like really broken in and comfy, but I would give it a B because I haven't. There are minor things that I've experienced, but they're very minor. The closest thing I can think of is, uh, is the I've got a little green speck, which I thought was a dead pixel back in a long time ago. We mentioned this, and then what I found out was that it's actually a stuck pixel, is what it's called. Here's the thing, though. It only shows up like usually during the splash screen. Like when I boot up a game, it's like there, and then it disappears, and like I don't ever see it again. Some like cinematics, like flat screen cinematics, like it'll be down there, and it's like whenever it's in like the cinema mode or whatever, like I'll sometimes notice it, but it's never when I'm playing. So that's really from a hardware issue that I've had. Like, really, I'm just really lucky, I guess.
Agreed. I think you're lucky. I also think that, I'm also in a position where, people come to me with their problems and their complaints a lot. And so I hear, when you find out that it's only a very small percentage of people having launch day issues with their launch headset, I'm hearing all of those, right? And I'm not hearing I'm hearing the vocal minority. I'm not hearing the quiet majority go, I love my headset. Those people just don't say anything, right? And so so you were at a B. What, you were at a B? Is that what you said? And how was it a C?
Yeah, for the hardware. I mean, does this include the controllers too, or just the headset? Because I have some things about the controller as well.
Well, do those by any chance fall into advancements or innovations, which is our next category?
That does, man. I would say because and the headset, dude, the headset rumble.
Well, that would be advancements and innovations.
Yeah. Right. I love the headset rumble. I love some of these subtle features, especially when developers use them right. This was one of the things I was most excited about. I think this is one of the things that, this was a solid marketing point for the headset, which was it's going to have some of these things that the PS5 features, that is going to now be in the headset to enhance the immersion. And I think that I love the headset rumble. I mean, like, stuff like hubris, jumping off a cliff and then diving into the water and the headset shakes. That is awesome. And then of course the adaptive triggers and haptics in the controllers, which it's funny to me because it is another thing to like kind of judge about a game. Like it's something I look for in every single game, and I go, did these developers like utilize this the best way possible? And we were just talking about Runner, and I'm like, dude, like that's one of my favorite things about Runner is like, I think I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong here, but in my opinion, what the first thing that comes to my head is like they did the adaptive triggers, the haptics for like shooting and stuff, the headset rumble better than anybody else. That's one of the like underrated little secret things about that game, that it's not a complete game changer, but it does enhance the experience, and I love these features.
Well, the funny thing is I remember us talking when PlayStation 5 first came out, and I had ordered a DualSense. It's because they were going to show up before the PlayStation 5 did, right? And I was like so excited to try out the new controller. And so when my PlayStation 5 finally showed up, and and I got to feel the new type of rumble that it involved, feel the adaptive triggers, feel all that, I was like, this is all right. This is fine. But even in my head, I knew that when I'm inside of a game, this is going to make a huge difference for things. And I absolutely feel like I was right about that. When you're swimming in hubris and you feel the water against your palms,
that feels so good,
right?
Yeah.
And like so not only do you feel like you're swimming, but it's also giving you the proper feedback to know, yep, this is the proper motion and it's working. So like, and all that just kind of clicks in your brain, so you don't have to think about it. The weapons in Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge, I think one of the best things about that game were the adaptive triggers, were the haptics in the Sense controllers. Every blaster felt different, and that's just not something you get from Move controllers. That's not something I get from the Quest controllers. So this, as far as advancements and innovations, man, I think that just from a controller standpoint alone, they're killing it. But there's so much more to it than that, right? I mean, like we're talking like eye tracking, which very few other headsets have used.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't think that if there's any other headset right now that uses it.
I think the Quest Pro uses it. If that's
Quest Pro.
I could be wrong on that. But I mean, you know, but no one's really using that for gaming. And so
yes, as a gameplay, as both, it's got such a multi-purpose thing to it too, which is awesome. It can be used to both enhance graphics by using foveated rendering wherever you're looking, and it can be used that way. It still has a ways to go in terms of like ironing out some of the kinks and stuff, but it's there. The other thing is an actual gameplay input, which is just like that was, you know, playing Res Infinite with the eye tracking was like that was one of the first most next gen experiences I had playing. I was like, holy crap. I'm like, now this is something I have never experienced like ever.
Yeah.
And to me, that is definitely what you kind of like. I'm surprised it doesn't get more praise from a lot of the people that are obsessed with VR technology and what it can do and what it's supposed to do, and feel like you'd think that they'd be really singing its praises with it.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah, I was, you know, when you play Poker Stars and you're sort of looking at each other out of the corner of your eyes, right? It's like it adds a whole nother element to Poker Stars. Like, is this person bluffing? Like he's looking around all weird, like, and now it's in Pavlov. I mean, like it's really crazy how they use eye tracking. So dude, as far as I'm concerned, like there's so many advancements and innovations in the PSVR2 headset. They did not do the thing that I asked. I was like, just get us caught up to PCVR. That was the only thing I asked. Like, just get us caught up. And they said, we're going to get you caught up, Brian, but we're also going to throw you way further. Like, so that this thing isn't going to feel outdated in a year or two. You're going to be on par with them for quite a while. So
yeah, I do love this. It's a really, I think, a pretty bold decision to do this, because they could have stripped all this stuff out and probably made the headset a little bit cheaper and, you know, sold more of it. But I have to applaud them for, you know, not straying. This is not straying away from what, you know, Sony's usually known for with their gaming division, which is like, you know, innovating and stuff and developing new things. And, you know, they're not necessarily even the best at it typically, but they are definitely at the forefront of, typically have been at the forefront of innovation in ways like this, that I think for mass consumer audiences has they've always landed things pretty well.
AJ, you comfortable giving this an A+?
Yeah, I'm definitely comfortable giving this an A+. What I would add though is one little thing. Mm-hmm. So I love the orbs, and plus we didn't even mention like the tracking is better and stuff, which is much better. But the one thing I will say that I think is both a great about the orbs, but also the only maybe drawback is that with the Move controllers, like the advantage they have of being just kind of like a stick in your hand is like they were a lot more like versatile in like what they could do. You know, it was kind of like you just loosely could hold them, and so stuff like Beat Saber, you know, it felt like holding a sword. Also think about games like Walkabout Mini Golf. Like, it's interesting. I did not see this coming, where it was like, okay, like this is gonna feel a little bit weird because it's got this unique shape and design to it, that almost presented a little bit of an issue. But no, it's like, it was a little bit of an adjustment. It maybe doesn't feel completely natural, feels kind of weird, but it's a, you know, that's like the only thing that the Move controllers had the thing. Everything else is a huge advancement.
That brings us to accessibility and friction. I as far as accessibility is concerned, I don't know how deep we want to go into like, you know, for people with disabilities or movement problems. I was thinking definitely, as far as this is concerned, more like the friction line of things, and how difficult it is to get in and out of the headset. A lot of people tell me like the last thing I want to do when I get home from a long day at work is put on a VR headset, you know, or it's really hot outside. The last thing I want to do is put on a VR headset. How much do you think that Sony really negated some of these problems over other headsets, over PSVR1 when it comes to PSVR2?
Well, I mean, I think they made a lot of improvements. They fixed a lot of issues, and I think some new ones popped out as well. Obviously, the number one thing is the one cable versus I don't even know, like versus what we had before, the breakout box with like the 6 cables, required power,
Yep.
and the amount of issues that stemmed from that was just like, oh my god, like people couldn't even be bothered to plug in their PlayStation VR at that time. So
And never mind.
I think that is
never mind the breakout box and the power supply needed for that, dude. I mean, then setting up a camera across the room, making sure that could see you, and it could see you, like, it could see you with your arms up in the air. It could see you when you were crouched all the way down. Like the space needed just to set up a camera to do light tracking and then getting the light right in the room. I mean, I think it's fair to say this is leagues better than PlayStation VR 1. But I guess I'm also curious to know, like, you've played Quest 2, like where are we in comparison with like just the standard that VR headsets had provided by then?
Well, I do think the future is wireless. Obviously, there's going to have to be some sort of battery solution that's lightweight and can last a very long time. Also, can be less expensive. We'll see what happens with Apple's new method of having that little. It's like the hybrid tether where it's like, it's got a little wire that comes out of it, and maybe there's a battery pack that you can exchange, put in your pocket or something. I do think even that could be an improvement. It's kind of like a middle ground. That's just where we're at with the technology here. But obviously, that's a big advantage of the Quest is like, yeah, you just pick it up, put it on. It's very easy to pick up and play, but there's the battery life, which doesn't last very long. So I spend most of the time playing my headset. So I actually prefer the wired because of the benefits. I think the benefits of playing a wired headset at this time greatly outweigh the wireless options that we have available.
I agree. I do agree that it outweighs it. Unfortunately, people still want wireless with or without the benefits. And so, there are people who want to do very active things and are concerned that the wire is going to be a problem. And so I think as far as accessibility and friction, the wire still presents a problem for people, even if they haven't played it. They just think it's going to be a problem. And so that there's a level of friction there that they refuse to even, try. And then, of course, you have to own a PlayStation 5, which, again, for most of us, not an issue. We bought a PlayStation 5 in preparation for the PSVR2, but for the general population, if you don't have a PlayStation 5 and you really want to play PSVR2, yes, you need to buy this $500 console and then a $550 headset, and then that, you haven't even gotten a game yet. So
and of course the price is more than we've talked about this before, but yeah, a lot of people at first, us included, were kind of like, the sticker shock at first got us. We're like $550, like what? But then, we settled down, we thought about it, and we're like, okay, well, this is for what you're getting, like, especially when you compare it to other high-end headsets, things like that, the features you get with this, the potential for the library as the years go on, like, you realize, like, yeah, it's the best value. Many people now are saying, like, it's still the best value headset for high-end VR, like with the graphics and everything.
Which is why everybody wants it to work with PC VR. That's why there's so many people trying to get that shit up and running over there. So the last, and this is going to come into play again with the UI, so we don't have to go too heavy into it, but just the last bit of friction that I want to talk about before we rate this is when you turn the thing on, right? Remember when you turned on the PlayStation VR 1 and it was just like, it just took forever. You just had to go through warning screens and then you saw yourself in the camera, and then turning on each move controller individually. Sometimes the move wouldn't turn on. You have to turn it off and turn it back on. And it just felt like it took forever to even like get everything started. How especially compared to the Quest 2, where you just throw the whole thing on, throw it on your head, and boom, you're kind of in VR within 5-10 seconds. How do you feel PSVR 2 compares to that?
It's for me, it's easy. I love the new pass through thing. That's really convenient for if somebody walks in the room and they're talking to me. I like to do that. If I don't know where anything is, I don't have to take the headset off. I can just press the button. I can grab my drink. I can grab my controllers, whatever. So I think that was definitely. I think there's definitely an improvement here with that as well. But there will be more. I'm not done with this subject yet, though. In terms of friction, but
right. Well, just a heads up. When we're still doing this at 9 p.m., I'm blaming you.
okay. But yeah, I think it's an improvement. Absolutely. Like I said, you plug in the thing to the front and you boot it up and like that's it. Like you just turn it on and I think at first there was a couple little bugs and stuff where it was like, the first setup is a little weird and whatnot because it's like you put on your headset, you turn it on, and it's like, take off your headset. Now put it back on. Now take it off. It's like, what the hell, man? Just let me calibrate this with it on and whatever. And but overall, like once you get it set up, I think it works. I think it works pretty great.
All right. So are we
the
ready?
Other friction things?
Yeah, let's do that.
Does the whole thing now? I know I'm not affected by this, but I try to be as objective as possible, which is impossible. But I try to keep in mind, think of others as well when we talk about this thing. And I was going to say, does reprojection or mirror those effects? Do those have anything to do with friction? Because I would think that those can technically be considered part of the friction. That some of those are like when it comes to the problems that people have, like those are probably the big two main problems that I see people having, even if I'm not affected by them personally.
Yeah, I mean that actually wasn't on my mind when coming up with this list, but yeah, that makes perfect sense. That would absolutely be. I mean, we just saw Gluebagger talk about how he's getting motion sickness because of what we think is probably a reprojection issue.
I believe so.
So, obviously that's not their intention, right? Like, and Sony's always been very adamant that they want to do everything they can to reduce motion sickness. That's part of why the headset has haptics in it. That's part of why the QA process for PlayStation VR games has been so rigorous over the years, and why we've gotten so many mandatory comfort settings and things like that over the years. And Sony's loosened up on that quite a bit, but that's their goal, is to reduce motion sickness. And so yes, I do think that there's the reprojection system needs some work, and
which they are working on, luckily. Of course,
and hopefully that'll help. But it's strange because overall, I think Gluebagger is the exception rather than the rule. I heard, Josh Cat, one of our loyal cats out there, had so many issues with motion sickness on PlayStation VR1, and the last time I talked to him, which was only a few weeks ago, we talked about PlayStation VR2 and that it hasn't caused an issue with motion sickness at all since day one. And so that's a huge step in the right direction. So I do think that people who get motion sickness from the reprojection is the exception rather than the rule.
It could also just be a bunch of people that are new to VR and just getting motion sickness and think that that's what it is. Right. You know what I mean? But of course there are examples of people that are obviously not new to VR, but
right. Well, I think we're doing our absolute best to be empathetic, and by being empathetic, I think we're going a little overboard.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
A little too much, but I'd give what is the friction? I'd give it a solid B+.
B+. I'm with you. B+ sounds like a good rating to me.
Yeah.
All right. Let's give that sucker a B+. We'll throw a B+ right on up here. And
I think to be A or A+, it'd have to be wireless, have a long battery life. Longer battery life, and things like that. I think that's the next evolution in the future.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we'll get there. It's just not time for that yet. We've got a couple tips I want to take care of, AJ, before we move on to the next one.
All right.
And let's see. We're going to start with Mark Pringles Leaf with the 5 quid says, I've noticed if you close your eyes when playing a game on PSVR2, you can no longer see the game. It happens on every game I play. Weird, man. Like
maybe the corrective lenses will help that.
Maybe the eye tracking is recognizing when you're closing your eyes and shutting the game down in the interim. No, it's good shit. Move Master Mick. Thank you, Mark. Move Master Mick, the shape throwing PSVR game cat with the membership, level 2 membership tip says, listening to the Top Gun album while playing Ace Combat is a must.
Why did I never think of that? That's amazing. I mean, that's such a, yeah. That's such a good idea.
Is Highway to the Danger Zone? Is that it? Yeah, okay. Get in my belly, game Cat Wilkins with a $10 tip says, here's more toppings for the pizza. Enjoy. Thanks. I ordered pizza early today, so you're basically paying off my debt, Game Cat Wilkins. I appreciate you.
I love this.
Living Legend with a Canadian $20 tip says, don't you find it funny how haters poke fun at the cable? Mostly Quest or standalone wireless fanboys. Wireless always has some latency. This is why games like Red Matter 2 can look and run this good on PlayStation VR2. No compressed graphics.
Yeah.
Yes and no. I mean, if you've ever played, don't forget, Living Legend, that part of what we're talking about with wireless is standalone wireless, right? When you've got your Quest 2 and it's not hooked up to anything, so there is no latency because it's all self-contained. If you've ever played Red Matter 2 on the Quest 2, this is the thing, guys. Vertical Robot are fucking geniuses. Like, they are technical magicians when it comes to programming. Like, they're able to do ray tracing on like the Quest 2 or the PlayStation VR1. Like, it was insane what they were able to pull off. So when everyone's like, oh, what Red Matter 2 can do it, well, Vertical Robot is a special case. I agree with you. The wire is imperative for right now, for so many reasons. But yeah, I don't think it comes into play when we're talking about the Quest.
And people also tend to forget that game, or they just maybe haven't played it or don't know, but that game it's designed in a way with like a little bit more simple geometry, there's a lot of small rooms and empty spaces, and there's not tons of like enemies running around. There's not like compare the environments of Red Matter versus like Horizon or Resident Evil Village. Like a giant lush dense jungle with giant robots running around with all this action happening and special effects, and versus like just a small little sci-fi space room. Not to take away from anything from Red Matter, because
beautiful game in its own
because
right.
it is beautiful, and I think Saints and Sinners should get some love too, because that is also incredibly sharp and deploys a lot of like different game mechanics and physics and things that really should get some love as well. I think a little bit
running
more
natively 90.
Mm-hmm.
This is great. Okay, AJ, we're caught up on tips. That means it's time to talk about comfort. Did the fact that they poked a little hole in the rubber make the headset more comfortable to you?
I have no idea if that did anything. I have played Beat Saber once, and it fogged up on me.
Yep, same. When I sweat, it fogs up. It happened to me during Creed. Happened to me during Beat Saber. Eventually, the temperatures all balance out, and you can just sweat, and it's fine.
Oh, I will say though, one time, or a lot of the times I'm playing, I've got my fan on, and there was a nice little cool little breeze. It was like somebody blowing like a cool breeze like through like a straw, like in my forehead, and that actually felt pretty nice, I will say.
Do you prefer the gasket type thing that goes over your head now to what we had before, which was sort of like the floppy thin rubber?
No, I think I liked the thicker rubber that we had before. It was like one piece, but it was thicker. I think I preferred that over the gasket kind of. It feels a lot thinner, and it's like folded over, and it's not as cushiony, I would say, as it was before. But to be honest with you, both of them are like they're fine. Yeah,
and plus we're still talking about especially when compared to other modern VR headsets, we're still talking about the Halo design versus the strap it to your face design of the Quest 2.
Yeah.
Dude, I put this thing on for the first time in months, last night or the night before, and the Quest 2 is the most uncomfortable thing on the face of the planet. Like I felt like I got a headache instantaneously. It was so uncomfortable on my face, and I can't believe I've ever worn that.
Me too much. There's only one thing that bothers me about that headset, and that's where you plug in the cable, and it's like it's so just like front heavy, and now it's like with the cable plugged in, the way it like weighs down on the front of your face. Oh, that is awful. Yeah. But other than that, it doesn't bother me that much either.
All right, so I mean, so with the Halo design, with the gasket, with the hole poked in it, you know, with the ability to slide the visor in and out, with the tightening on the back strap, I love that the IPD slider is there. Yep. Versus doing that stupid programming thing where you have to take the headset off, take pictures of your eyes, drag the thing to your pupils. This is so much better. The only problem now is that when you go get VR lenses, they ask for your IPD, and I was like, I don't fucking know. It's here on the dial. It's about 2/3 to the right, and I'm like, I don't know the number. Like they don't tell you when you're setting it. And see, like when you actually had to measure it with a camera on PSVR1, it was like you got your exact IPD. You knew your number. Yeah. I don't fucking know my number. I just say it's somewhat average. I don't know. So comfort, man. Comfort. What are we rating this?
I'd give it a B.
All right. I mean, honestly, because of other headsets and what other headsets do.
Yeah,
and
give it a boost.
Because this is the only one that really uses the Halo head strap. I mean, I'm willing to go a little higher if you are. I would go like, where would you go?
I'd go either B+ or A. I'd A-.
Let's do A-. I feel comfortable with an A-.
I'm fine with that because I still think it's the most comfortable, one of the most comfortable headsets, like you said, especially in comparison. And yeah, it's the only reason I wanted to go B+ is, like I said, some of the gasket rubber stuff is not the greatest. The padding isn't the greatest, so leaning a little bit more towards B+. But it's still really comfortable to me, so it doesn't bother me either way.
Yeah, I mean, I play until my Sense controller batteries die, and then once that happens, I take it off. And that's sometimes the only reason I stop. You know, I feel like I played Synapse for 9 hours straight, pretty much, but the only exception just taking the headset off to let the controller charge for 45 minutes. And
Ben Schroeder has a good question. He says, "Is there an S rank? Is there an S rank here?"
I'm sorry, Ben Schroeder. I did not plan that far ahead. It unfortunately only goes from F to A+.
Okay.
My apologies. I'm not worthy. All right, man. Well, so hold on a second. So now that we've kind of, let's wait until after we do the games, and then we'll talk about price and value. So let's get into marketing.
Oh God,
this is going to be easy. F. Write down. You fail.
No, their marketing is just as terrible as ever. Like they had me believe for a quick moment that, you know, because the first time they showed PlayStation VR2 footage, I was like, oh my God, they did this right. Like, oh, could this be a new era? No. Their marketing is still the worst ever.
Yeah.
Terrible marketing.
Yeah, I mean, but here's what we've gotten though, right? We've gotten Ozzy Osbourne in Horizon. We've gotten two or three specific ads for PlayStation VR, the headset itself. We got a Gran Turismo VR ad. What else have we gotten for actual advertisements?
Yeah, I don't know. There's been like some. The last commercial had like Creed and fucking Hello Neighbor on it. Like, no, F.
but it also had hubris, right?
It did have hubris. I know. It did have hubris. It had Saints and Sinners.
I feel like they need to address the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is a bunch of bullshit. The people who say there's no games for the headset, right? There's so many games for the headset in such a short amount of time. I already think this is one of the best VR libraries out there. I think it's already better than the Quest 2 library. Thank you, Bella Ramsey.
Do you know why people say that, Brian? because their marketing sucks.
Their marketing sucks. They don't know.
Like,
So,
they have all of the right things to make people say, "Oh my God, look how great this is," and they just do it wrong. They still do it wrong. They did the very first one right. The very first state of play. That's the only thing they've gotten
for the PSVR 1.
No. For the PSVR2, the first state of play.
Oh, okay. When they showed Saints and Sinners and Resident Evil
Village, Saints and Sinners,
Star
Horizon,
Wars,
whatever.
Yep.
They got that one right with the timing, with the placement, with the messaging. They nailed that. Never again since has it been even close to that good.
Yeah. Well, where I was going was what they need to do is address the people who think there's no games. In their next ad needs to show game after game after game after game after game, like just a fucking crazy sizzle reel, and say just say you want games, and then just show game after game after game, and then say we got games, and just and that's enough. That's what people want to see. And so I think they need to do that. Not that they're going to listen to us. They never listen to us. Why should they? I would give their advertisements a D. Can't give it an F because an F would mean like they're just not advertising at all. But I would say a D for the actual ads.
I say F.
Well, what
F
D,
plus?
I mean, D minus. Will you go D minus at least? Because like they've got ads out there.
I mean, look. Okay, like yeah, there's some. I mean, okay, the effectiveness of that. Yeah, like. Do you think that Ozzy Osbourne trailer like actually sold anybody on anything, or actually showed what PSVR, what makes PSVR 2 good? No, I don't think it did any of that.
It made people talk about PSVR 2 because they're like, "What's Ozzy Osbourne doing? What's this all about?"
I don't think. Unfortunately, the Dark Prince himself could not save Sony's marketing.
Okay, you were going F, I was going D, and so let's just give it a D plus. D minus. I'm sorry, that's the happy medium here. If there was an F plus, I would give it to you, but that's not how Fs work.
The only reason I will let this pass is because there has been a moment or two or a thing or two that's been okay, but really, I mean, to me, it still baffles me just how. The amount of missed opportunities and how obvious it seems on how to do things, and they still just don't do it right.
I agree. That's why I feel like it's practically a failure. Practically. But that brings us to events and showcases. And now you said that they did the first state of play right. Was it the last state of play that we had that they did Resident Evil and they showed the footage from the VR version?
I'd give this another D minus.
Well,
okay.
So let's talk about what they've actually done in the last showcase, which was, let's be honest, terrible for all of PlayStation, right? Whether it be PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, or VR, they still managed to give us more Synapse, Arizona Sunshine 2. They gave us Resident Evil 4 footage, which was the first time we'd seen the VR footage. They announced
the same announcement again. But they reused announcements, and this is what bothers me. I mean, this is nitpicking a little bit here, but this is what bothers me is, I said that the first time they showed us PlayStation VR2 stuff, they said Resident Evil 4 content and development. Now, what is it? A year later? How long was it? No, like almost a year later, I guess, or what? 7 months, 8 months?
Yeah, roughly.
Something like that. A long time after. Yeah. They go Resident Evil 4 content and development. They didn't even like they clarified a little bit. Like the announcement was special because they showed us a little bit of new footage. They clarified a little bit in the PlayStation blog, which said this is the full game. That's what they should have come out and said, was like, this is the full game in VR, but they just said VR mode in development again for some reason. And like, I'm nitpicking here, but it's like so obvious.
Yeah. So
Synapse, they showed Synapse again, and they go, they gave us a release date, which was nice.
Yeah.
But they didn't even mention David Hayter and Jennifer Hale. They should have said, this says David Hayter and Jennifer Hale. Where do they say that? In the PlayStation blog.
So what?
Sorry.
Again, no, it's fine. It's fine. But so again, though, but like in a really bad showcase, we still managed to get, was it 4 pretty decent PSVR2 games shown, and then you go back to, is that right? And then you go back to the state of play prior to that. Like it,
or is it this way?
Don't get me wrong. I don't. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Is it this way or this way? For a C.
You'd actually give the events a C?
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I'm like, I mean, let's go C minus. I feel like it's rough at best.
Yeah.
You know?
I think I'd give it a C, and that's being a little generous. But the events have been, like I said, there's been at least some cool games. Even they're just all disappointing, except for the first one.
Okay.
But the games are there, like.
Right. They could do these events so much better. They could show us new games. There's so many different games. We saw the Meta Showcase. The Meta Showcase gave us more PSVR2 games than the PlayStation Showcase did, right? And so that's a problem, right? But that being said, you know,
the events, dude, they showed us Gran Turismo.
Oh yeah, that was it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you know, even if it was for 5 seconds.
Yeah. Okay, and the PlayStation blog.
A plus.
I mean,
this is the sad part.
Yeah,
is that is the most useless of like form of marketing. That's why I wanted to give the marketing an F, because the best thing they do is the PlayStation blog would literally, like, you know, no mainstream consumer is gonna see that shit. People, you know, that's only for like the people that are already invested and already into that.
Right.
And like, so if using the PlayStation blog as your marketing is so dumb. And it's like you said, man, it was funny. You said one time, you were kind of joking, but there's some truth to it, where it's like, what does this mean? Like the way that Sony markets, you know, PSVR 2, what does it make you feel or whatever? And you're like, that they want PSVR 2 to fail.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's true. Like it just seems like it sometimes, that it's just that bad.
So as far as the blog goes, like I feel like for a place that they have unlimited space to advertise whatever they want to, I feel like they're still not even doing. They're certainly pushing PlayStation VR2 over there and everything. You know, when a new announcement happens or whatever, it usually shows up there. But even then, I feel like the PlayStation blog could do better. So I don't know. I'm A at best, A minus probably more likely.
I gotta give the blog, because that's literally where all their marketing is, or that's like literally where everything important is.
All right, so where are you at with it then? Where are you at with it?
I'm at an A.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't care if it's A plus or A minus. I just wish it wasn't true, but it is true.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I mean, I am with you. Definitely wish that everyone knew about the PlayStation blog. A, I'm with the name.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So that brings us to the UI.
Thank God we can not talk about marketing anymore.
Right. User interface. Does the user interface even exist? To an extent. To an extent, right? It does. You double tap the PlayStation button while you're in there, and you can easily adjust your visibility. You can easily, check your eye tracking.
A little tiny submenu.
A little tiny submenu. Yep. So there, to a small degree, the UI is here. And the things that in the UI, like basically setting up your play space with the pass through mode, it all works really, really well. However, as far as selecting your games and everything else that you're doing, it is simply the PlayStation 5 UI.
Well, I think that's the thing, is like, it's basically just there's a couple functions it allows you to do. It's functional. Mm-hmm. But I think it's incredibly disappointing for features wise and whatever. Things like the screen going black when you turn on the headset, like, so the other people watching the TV, they just see a black screen. It's like, hey, what game should I play? Well, let me see. It's like, you can't. I've talked about, like, why is there no 3D environments? which I know you and I kind of disagree on. You don't really care about them. I think it would be really cool, really important. I still have, like, I love my themes on my PS4 so much. I've got the Moss theme still, and I miss that so much.
Okay, so I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I basically, on my list of shit to complain about with the PSVR2, the UI just happens to be at the bottom of my list, right? But
Yeah,
you talk about the Moss theme on your PS4. How great would it be if there were virtual themes, right? So you load in and you're actually like mouse size in Quill's world, and you're looking up around, you know, and you see the you see the watcher overhead, right? But and then you see your games in front, and you can just click on them with a laser pointer type thing. Like there's an infinite number of possibilities here for making very cool UIs.
I thought this was going to be an obvious thing to have because the Quest already did it, and I thought they were going to try to copy and learn from the Quest. So I was like baffled that they didn't do this like tiny little thing. I think that there's still. I hope that there's still like time to do that. Like, I hope they eventually do that because I think people could make really cool, artwork and stuff, 3D environments that I feel like is another way of revenue. And not only that, but it's just a cool way, dude. Like customization is always cool in gaming and like, setups because you get to express yourself through your thing. And I think it's important to be able to have that ability, to not just have this, flat menu thing, which is fine. It's functional, but right. There's no form of expressing yourself or, even just like it'd be just a really nice feature to have.
Right. For me, it falls low on the priority list because it's fast. It does what it needs to do. It's fast. You get into the game, boom. You don't think about the UI the rest of the time you're in there. However, how great would it be to have these custom rooms to be in that reflect the games that you love, to be in the apartment of Wanderer, your uncle's apartment, and be able to select your game from in there. So whatever place you happen to find cozy, it would be great.
A nice pre-order bonus too.
Nice pre-order bonus indeed. So, so the fact is I find it fast and efficient what we've got, but the fact that there was no work put into it makes me think this is like a D. It's not special. There's nothing to write home about. I don't know.
I'm totally with you there. I was going to say D or C at least. Okay. There's not a ton of features. Everything. Yeah. It's kind of a mix of, definitely just the regular PS5 features. I'm trying to think of like things that are cool about it. And like literally everything is just the PS5 UI. Is all it is. Like there's nothing unique to VR. There's nothing, other than just being able to. There's nice accessibility, and that's about it. So maybe a C, but mostly a D for UI because it's not even a custom UI.
Yeah, I'm happy with D if you are
D plus.
D plus. Okay.
Boink. I don't hate it, but definitely should be a lot more.
D plus coming right up. All right, man. So let's talk about games, and we're not talking about games that are coming up. We're talking about games that are already available, and I mean I think it's fair also to talk about games that have already been announced, right? Because I think when we get to future prospects, it's going to be a lot of speculation. And I don't think we need to speculate when it comes to games that have already been announced, right? We know at least about the quantity, and we can speculate about the quality a little bit of the games that haven't come out yet. So for games, we'll keep it to either games that are out or announced games, and then when we get to future prospects, we'll speculate about games that might be coming.
I want to give games an A so bad. I just don't know if I can.
Well, let's start. There's two categories of games. And we're starting with first-party support. For being 5 months in, now this is going to be super divisive, and a lot of people in the chat are going to hate me after this. I think Sony is killing it with first-party support, and here's why. Because not only did we get a built-from-the-ground-up game, whether you like it or not, it was a built-from-the-ground-up game in the Horizon universe.
It was a good game too.
Call of the Mountain, and And that's not and that's not we didn't get that at the launch of PSVR 1. It took us a while to get a built from the ground up game from a first party studio on PSVR 1. Then they also paid millions of dollars to make sure that we had Village at launch. They also made sure Polyphony Digital made sure that Gran Turismo 7 was playable in VR at launch. They paid 17-bit to bring Song in the Smoke over with the rekindled version, an exclusive version that took full advantage of PSVR2, new features, jumping, better graphics, better environments, better everything, right? And the list goes on, right? And they paid End Dreams to make Synapse. So I think from an outsider's perspective, they might look and go, well, where's all the first party Sony IPs? But remember where a lot of these games are coming from. And so I kind of think that they're sort of killing it from a first party perspective when it comes to first party support because of what they're doing, because of what they're enabling us to get, even if it doesn't seem terribly obvious.
Well, I think there's no argument that getting Resident Evil Village and Gran Turismo 7 at launch, that's huge. I think people, despite how amazing that is, though, and Horizon, people, I think Gran Turismo 7 and Resident Evil Village are prime examples of why PlayStation VR2 can be this like huge revolutionary thing. You and I, man, we're big console gamers our entire life. We've played a lot of things. Our dream is to have all those console games now playable in VR. Like that is the dream. That's what I want. And it doesn't have to be just old IPs, like new IPs too. But just the console quality games playable in VR is absolutely the dream. I think those two games alone are a huge deal. And then like that cannot be overstated how big those games. Those are like everything we dreamed of when we wanted PSVR 2. That's the reasons why.
And look at what's happening in VR outside of PSVR 2. How frequently do you get AAA games for VR built from the ground up or hybrid games? It's very uncommon unless you're talking about mods, and we're not, right? And everybody in the chat, fucking relax, okay? I just explained what I meant by first party support. Whether you call it second party or you call it first party, I just explained to you what I meant by first party support. So get on board. We know what we're talking about. So I'm so down to give this an A, right? Because of everything that Sony has done and who they've paid and what games are there because of them.
Yeah. I think it would have to. If I go A, it's got to be an A- because partially to do because some of the execution. They're throwing money at things, but they're just not. It just doesn't feel like. It doesn't feel. I don't know. It doesn't always feel like it's the right things or right ideas. It's like they're close. They're close. GT7, Resident Evil Village, perfect examples of this is what we want. This is what's gonna change everything. These are game changers right here. Then there's stuff like that didn't land. They're making exclusives. They're throwing money at exclusives. Like unfortunately some of those turned out to be like Switchback, where it's like, that didn't end up so well. There are lots of great indie devs as well, that are really, really doing a lot of the work here as well, where we've got stuff like you said, we're allowed to mention stuff that's upcoming. Stuff like Wanderer is coming. That's a huge deal because that is a super high quality game. And there's other examples like Saints and Sinners Chapter 2. Really high quality, both 1 and 2. Those are console quality games from developers that are VR developers, but they have a huge gaming background. Obviously, they know how to make not only fun gameplay, but they know how to make, like, they put tons of content into it as well. And then we got stuff like Synapse, which is coming out, which is a really fun game. It's a PlayStation exclusive, I'm pretty happy about it overall. I again have my they don't necessarily have the depth or the content that like Skydance is putting into these things, but they at least understand what makes a game fun to play and exciting. And they're getting better. Then you got a bunch of little smaller games like Demio, which is fantastic, Runner, amazing. There's a lot of really, really good games. It's just the problem is, I mean, for launch, I think I just was hoping for a little bit faster rate of these big, like AAA third party, first party games. Just a little bit higher rate of those would have gone a long way, I think. Luckily, we've got stuff like Resident Evil 4 to look forward to, which should be amazing. But there has to be more than that. And I don't want to be sounding like I'm greedy. I just think that there needs to be at least a solid variety with the catalog of these big games. And that's going to really help grow everything. That's what's going to make people buy VR and get into it as a wide variety. Not everybody likes horror games. Yeah. So that eliminates like half the best of the library right there.
Sure.
And
that also eliminates half the PlayStation 5 flat screen library as well.
They're on the right track. There's been some amazing. There's really some stuff that I think doesn't get as much credit as it deserves. But there's some misses in there, and there's some things like Horizon. Like Horizon was good. It should have been amazing. Because of their kind of design decisions, and then you've got a bunch of really, luckily nobody pays attention to it or cares, but there's a way more shovelware than there really should be on there. There's more
shovelware than there should be on the PlayStation Store for PSVR2.
Yeah, just like there is on the PS5, where there's like a bunch of crap shovelware stuff.
Sure, I mean, we're talking about break stuff, possibly, right? And what else? Like Kazuna AI, maybe.
Man, break stuff. The crossword puzzle game. What's some of this?
So Travel the Words, is that the crossword puzzle game?
Travel the Words. Yeah. This stuff that
I think that there's a couple. Like I don't really think that there's an overwhelming amount of shovelware. But again, we don't rate the library based on the bottom of the barrel. We rate on all the good stuff that's out there, because that's the stuff that people are going to be playing. That's the stuff that people are going to want to buy. How much good stuff is there to buy?
I think it all counts. I think those don't have as much weight to them, of course, but I think there is something to be said about the impact that just being Quest ports without enhancements and the effect that has, and kind of like, that having a negative effect on that. So we'll bundle, little tiny Quest ports and shovelware kind of like in the same thing, because we want PSVR2 games. We want stuff that looks like, Red Matter and
But Red Matter was a Quest port. Right, Demio was a Quest port. Star Wars: Tales from the Galaxy's Edge was a Quest port. All enhanced, but we're getting so few games that aren't enhanced. Right, so many developers want to take advantage of the PSVR2 and show like what hey, we want to like compete with other games on the platform. Right, I think third party right now is doing a really good job in the number of games that have been. Dude, we've got more. I've said this before. We've got more games coming out over the next 30 weeks of the year than there are weeks in the year. Right, and I'm not talking about just shovelware. I'm talking about games that we're interested in playing. I'm talking about games that we have gone through and been like, man, this seems like it's going to be really good. I'm talking about Journey to Foundation, right? There's so many good games that have been announced that I feel this is the best time ever to be a VR gamer, right? And I do think that because PSVR2,
I think in a couple of years will be.
Yeah, but. Up until this point in human history, AJ, right? We can't predict the future, but so far, do you remember we'd go months without a PSVR1 game, and I don't foresee that happening anytime soon. In the next 5 years, next 10 years, I think things are just going to get better and better, and so
they are going to get better. But I do think I think even though it's better than what it used to be, I still think it's not improved enough. I don't think it's as advanced enough yet to really be like I said, man, this would be I'd be talking about a whole different thing here if Switchback came out and was like better than Rush of Blood 2. It's not that they're not trying, it's just not everything is landing.
Sure.
And
also, what are we on? Did we? I feel like we're very deep. We're very deep into third party support right now. Did we come to a conclusion on first party support?
Oh, I didn't realize that was a subcategory. Yeah. First party support. Ugh.
Like I said, like I already explained to the chat, I am talking about like first party, meaning Sony support of the headset, meaning the games that they've paid for to get brought to PSVR2, meaning Village, meaning
certainly.
Meaning Village, meaning Song in the Smoke, meaning any game that they paid for, Synapse. Like this is I mislabeled it. I should have called it Sony support instead of first party support, because that gives a different connotation. But what I mean is Sony's just out there giving money to studios to make PSVR2 games and to bring again, Song in the Smoke is such a perfect example of a game that wouldn't have existed on PSVR2 if Sony didn't say, we believe in your game. We are going to pay you to bring it over and give us the definitive version of that the PCVR is not even getting.
Well, again, considering not all of them landed, I would have to give a B, maybe B plus, because, like I said, it's more quality than quantity. That's for sure. There's some amazing stuff like Resident Evil Village, GT7, that really stick out. But there's a lot of other games with a lot of caveats, or ones that just straight up just didn't land. So I'd say B, probably a B.
Okay. I mean, I'm totally fine with that, right? Like, I mean, like I'm looking at this like, hey, we're 5 months in. We're only 5 months in, and we've already got this amount of content from because of Sony. This amount of exclusive content, this amount of AAA content, this amount of great stuff. And I feel like if we were a year out, it would be a different conversation, right? We'd be saying, oh, yeah, maybe they haven't really pulled their weight. But so far, I feel like for 5 months, they have pulled their weight in a way that no other VR headset has seen yet. And that's why we're loving on PSVR2 so much, because of all this great support.
Yeah, if you just kept it a little bit more simple to just the library as a whole, like I'd be really close to an A or A minus, like more so.
But we can go with B. We can go with B for Sony support.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Absolutely. I'm like, the only problem is I just want a little bit more. Really,
that's what everybody wants. We all want more.
Yeah, but a little bit more variety, a little bit more content, variety, things like that.
Yeah, and now the other thing here is now that we've got to rank third party support, but let's put it this way: almost every game that gets announced for VR is now coming to PSVR2. We were in a place with PSVR for so long that we'd see a PC VR game get announced and go, is that coming to PSVR? And sometimes they'd say yes and it would never come. Sometimes they'd say no and it would never come. And now, but we're in a place right now where if you're making a VR game, the chances of it being a PSVR2 game, whether at launch or soon after, is extremely high. And so I feel like we are in probably the best place we could possibly be for third party support right now. Unless you're looking at this from a hybrid standpoint and you're saying, where the fuck are the hybrid games, Brian? Why aren't we getting the AAA flat screen games in VR yet? Right? Sony hasn't unveiled that. Sony's not happy that I'm talking about it. Like I've ruined it for Sony, AJ. This is why we're blacklisted, because they're pissed off. I'm really revealing all of their plans, and they're like, that wasn't something that was supposed to be known yet. So now people are disappointed when they shouldn't have been disappointed. Where are the hybrids? People are yelling, Rachel. Where are the hybrids? And so,
but
Sony never said hybrids, not publicly. We said that,
right?
And so, so do we get upset and say where's the hybrid support when we talk about third party games, or do we say, man, every single VR developer making a third party game is bringing it to PlayStation VR2 as well, and that deserves some recognition? I think it's both, honestly.
It is a little bit of both, because it's not fair to blame them for asking about something that they didn't even say. That was more leaked from behind the scenes stuff. That being said, what the hell Does that mean for Gran Turismo and Resident Evil Village? Those are hybrid games. Like those are big fucking hybrid games.
Huge.
So they exist. They're there. They are a thing. So again, I just want to see more of them. I just want it to be more normal. And I think this is something that I don't know. I was hoping it would be more ready to go by launch. But it's not uncommon for games to kind of take a little bit of time to start coming out at a faster rate, getting more of these. This could be something that maybe is more like a year or two out, that we have that start before it starts becoming regular. That is the dream. That is the hope. But yeah, you think that there's going to at least be a big one every now and then, at the very least.
So yeah, after much dissertation, what do you give it for a score for third party? I want to know where you stand.
For third party.
I love that you say for third party as if I just brought it up and we haven't been talking about it. For third party. Well, since you ask,
it's like, there's like Capcom.
Oh my God.
There's basically like Capcom gets an A+. Can we just have a Capcom section?
No, we can't.
An S rank
because we kind of can't even count Capcom because I just said that we're counting that under Sony's support of the headset, right?
Yeah.
Capcom probably wouldn't be doing this if Sony wasn't paying them to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of blurring the lines a little bit there.
It is, and I drew a strange line down this conversation that no one seems to want to follow. But by all means, why be creative on Gamescast Live? Just sit here and drink beer, and everyone will be thrilled.
About Capcom, and this is where we be talking about Resident Evil.
I know. But think of studios like Arceac. Think of studios like Endreams. Think of studios like. You name it, man. Like
Does this include indies as well?
Third party? Yeah, absolutely, man. Like, we got Lo-Fi coming later this year.
Indies are doing a great job. They're I think we
got Madison and Numata. We've got everything Perp's been talking about lately. It's just there's so many cool games coming out, and dude, and it's all this year. That's the crazy part. Is almost every game we've talked about outside of, I think, Into the Darkness and Wanderer are the only two PlayStation VR2 games that we've really discussed at length at any point that aren't this year, right? So we've got so many games coming out this year. Practically every single PlayStation VR2 game that's been mentioned is over the next 6 months or 5 months. What games come out in December? Mostly before the end of November. We get so much shit coming. It's all third party.
I love indie devs, and I think that they're doing a lot for the platform. I'd still, at this point in time, which I expect this to change, I still say a B. I think at this point in time, it's still, when you throw everything together, third party, indies, third party, everything together.
In the lack of hybrids, because of the lack of hybrids thus far, I will absolutely go with you and say a B.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason, because other than that, I feel like we're getting every single VR game that's being made right now is definitely targeting PlayStation VR2. So it's only because of hybrids that they haven't shown their plans for yet.
Which it at some point, we'll have we're years. We could be a year or two out still from that being more common.
Yeah, I
because these
totally
things because they take time to develop. It's not because really for any other reason. It's just these bigger games take more time, and that's the reality of it. And I'm glad we went B with Sony's first party support as well, because of, I don't know if this is going to be another section, but we didn't even mention that their lack of remasters for first party is maddening, and that could be more like B-.
Right, but then when we see something like Wanderer, again, something that Sony paid for, Fragments of Fate, and what's happening with that, and how it's a remaster or a remake, reimagining, and they really want to take advantage of PSVR2. I keep thinking
there's a lot of back and forth.
Yeah, and so I feel like there must be somebody at Sony that's saying simple ports of PSVR1 games aren't going to cut it anymore. We want to do something special with these titles when we bring them over.
I sure hope so.
And that is being super optimistic. So. I know that most people think I'm fucking crazy.
Optimistic.
Right?
That is very optimistic. But I really hope the reason we haven't seen Astrobot yet is because they're remastering it and making like a 1.5.
They're making it a first-person shooter, AJ.
I'll take
All right. Okay, so now that we've kind of tackled a good chunk of the non-speculation, right? Because the rest of this is really speculation.
Okay.
Now we can talk about the price and the value. This thing costs $550 without a game. It costs $600 with Horizon, right? And obviously we've talked about all the tech, we've talked about all the advancements, we've talked about the comfort, we've talked about a lot of the games. Do you think that the price is worth it? Are we getting the value of what we paid for?
I mean, I think we will if we haven't already. Obviously, no. I mean, we're 5 months in. It's too early. It's too early to judge on that because it's. I don't know. I think where the value is going to come into play and where it's going to be 100% worth it is once that library really fills out over the next few years. Mm-hmm. At some point, it's going to be like a must have. Like here, like the library is stacked. We've got all the games you could want and everything. I think it'll be like that at some point. Right now, it's like, well, it kind of depends on what you like, what you want to play. If you want to play Gran Turismo, if you want to play Resident Evil, if you like, indie games, if you can appreciate some lesser known titles like Runner, like Song in the Smoke.
Mm-hmm. So if you're a well-rounded gamer and you're not just out there saying, where are the flying games? Where are the driving games?
If you're the kind of person that just plays like one game a year or like one game for like 6 months, then no. But unless that game is Gran Turismo 7.
Well, and so now here's the interesting part of this is that I obviously hang out in the Discord a lot. I hang out in voice chat, and one thing that comes up very frequently, I'm talking to Orseek, I'm talking to Sass, I'm talking to people who are obsessed, even for 5 months out. 5 months out from launch, are obsessed with Gran Turismo, and they've got hundreds of hours in it, and have both said that they've gotten their money's worth. I believe, Orseek, I don't want to misquote you. I believe they both said that PSVR2 is worth it for Gran Turismo alone, and I'm almost with them. Like, I haven't had a chance to really go back since the review, but I'm of the mind that like it's worth it for Village alone. Because remember, AJ, the number of times I played Resident Evil 7 on stream on the PlayStation VR1, like. I played it even more than that, and I would have bought a PSVR 1 for that experience alone, just playing Resident Evil 7 over and over and over and over. And I'm starting to feel that way about Village. I might not just be starting to. I might have felt that way from the very beginning. So
no, I'm with you there. I mean, I think for value and everything, easy A for me, A minus. Because it's only going to get better. It's only going to continue to get better and better. This is what the great part about these AAA games are and why they're so important, because you can purchase this thing just for a couple of them. It really doesn't take that many to make it worth the purchase. And then anything from there is just a bonus, and it's going to get better. But yeah, man, I'm on my second playthrough of Resident Evil Village. These are the games that, as much as I love indie games, it's always the big AAA games that I find myself going back to and play and sinking just more and more hours into. While the indie games, some third-party game stuff are great experiences, these are really, really deep content-filled games that you can spend months with.
I think it's worth it for Walkabout, honestly.
I need more stuff, I need some more stuff like some No Man's Sky where I could spend like 600 hours into it. I can't wait to get something like that next.
Everybody in the chat wants us to do polls and stuff. Listen, come back on the 9th. You guys are going to have a huge part in deciding the top 25 list. We are already well over 2 hours for this episode, so I don't want to slow it down any more than we have to. But I am reading your comments, and I do appreciate everyone's input, except for you, Shades of Grape. I'm just kidding. I fucking love you, dude. I'm like B plus for value because I'm absolutely in love with this thing. And the games we've gotten so far are amazing, but it is still very expensive as far as I'm concerned. Even if it is a good deal, I'm kind of at a B plus.
Easy A minus, dude. Easy A minus for what you're getting, especially when you compare it. I mean, look, like you don't even have to compare it to other headsets. Like, yes, the Quest is cheaper, man, but look at the games versus what you're getting here, and like graphically what you get here, and the features wise, like in the games and stuff, like what the hardware can do.
You've won me over, AJ. You've won me over. It's after the 2 hour mark, I just give in to everything you say.
The only equivalent thing you can do is go spend thousands of dollars, like thousands and thousands of dollars on a PC rig. That is the only way to have an equivalent experience of this. And so, yeah, it's an A minus for the value.
All right. That works for me. That totally works for me. Dude, I'm like I said, like I feel I can't imagine not having it. I can't imagine still being on PSVR1. I can't imagine having to play games on my PC. I fucking hate my PC so much, right?
Actually, to be honest with you, I can't. I might plug my PSVR1 back in just because there is a lot of the library that I'm starting to miss and want to go back to. I want to go back and play Skyrim. I want to go back and play Astrobot. There are some games I want to go back to, but I totally agree with you. And like I said, man,
well, dude, have you gone? You have gone back, right? Since PSVR2 came out.
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, good.
Julia
well,
has.
Save it. Save it, okay? Because I want to do an episode. I think so. Bad Dreams is going to be coming out on PSVR1 soon, and so I'm going to hook my PSVR1 back up. I'm going to review that game on PSVR1, but I'm also, while I'm there, going to check out some PSVR1 games. So wait for me. Because I want to do an episode of GAMESCAST Live about our first time going back into PSVR1 after.
Sweet.
Yeah, perfect.
I can't wait. I can't wait to go play Skyrim again. And and yeah, like I said, Skyrim, Astrobot, Blood and Truth, Rush of Blood. I'm gonna hook them up to the PS4 Pro too, so it's gonna be like.
Oh, really? So you can play
amazing.
Robinson. Yeah. So,
hey, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I was too hard on Robinson, but
maybe you weren't. Who knows? All right. So let's talk about future prospects. Now, I do want to kind of get through this a little bit faster. We spent a lot of time on everything else, but everything else is speculation, right?
Right.
Like what we think the likelihood for the games that are coming that haven't been announced yet, the VR apps that we need, like there was a cool Hulu app and Netflix app and YouTube app when we first got the PSVR 1, and those don't exist. Big screen we don't have for some reason. What it's like, the missing features that streamers don't have, like having a chat window up in the up in their vision like you can do on PC. And so like let's kind of go through these and see what we think the likelihood of the future of this thing is, one by one.
Okay.
All right. So starting with upcoming games that haven't been announced. Obviously, like I said, almost everything that's been announced is coming out in 2023. We've got like 2 or 3 games that have mentioned 2024. So 2024 is kind of a blank canvas right now, and of course every year after that. Do you have faith that we're going to get the same amount of quantity and quality from first and third party studios post 2023?
The same amount and quality as PSVR 2 launch, or
quantity
PSVR
and quality
1?
that we've been getting since launch.
Oh, I think it's going to be better eventually. I think the more time that passes, the better it's going to be. Absolutely. It's it's we're already starting to see it, like getting stuff like Wander remastered, it's gonna start getting better. I think it's gonna only just get better.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. There's no.
It may not be like. It still may not be the output that we hope for, where it's like every other game is going to be like, oh, here's the VR version of it. But I think it's going to be somewhere in between last gen and where we're at now. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be at least slightly better than last gen.
Oh,
at least.
Yeah. I mean, 2 to 3 times better, I would say minimum. I think things are starting to heat up for VR big time. And so, yeah, I mean, like for what I'm predicting and speculating about the future of the games that haven't been announced yet, like I think big things are on the horizon. I think big things are going to be announced, and that it does involve finally hybrid games. You know, that I know a lot of people have been patiently waiting for Sony to talk about ever since we spilled the beans. So I think people will be very surprised what's coming.
Just start saying hybrid game, because we'll get hybrid game.
Hybrid game, yeah.
And then eventually we'll get hybrid games. But at first, it's just going to be hybrid game here and there.
All right. So upcoming games. Not
Phasmophobia. Well, is it?
I mean, Phasmophobia is coming in August. Yeah.
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 But that started as a VR and then became a flat screen game, right?
Oh, that's a good question.
Was that always flat?
I don't honestly know, because of Steam Early Access and the way that it started. I don't know what the origins of that was.
What was your question? Sorry.
What are we rating? The unannounced upcoming games. We have a lot of faith. Are we giving it an A?
For the whole life cycle of the PSVR2?
Yeah.
Oh, I think like easily an A.
Okay. Good.
Because it's if last gen was any indication, we're already off to a better start than last gen, and last gen had the best library of that generation. So, it's gonna be fucking mind blowing.
All right. What about VR apps? Like the things that we've been kind of begging for. We were begging for some of them. Here's my problem, AJ. When it comes to saying, oh yeah, obviously we're going to get things like big screen. Obviously we're going to get things like a YouTube VR app. Like the problem is like we lost some of those things on PSVR1. Sony has not implemented 3D Blu-ray support on PlayStation 5 for us to use on PSVR2. So I feel like I have less confidence in these types of things than I do about the games themselves. What about you?
Yeah, I've definitely lost confidence in the features, because they at least they get the games right, because that's the number one most important thing.
So do you think apps like Big Screen will come by and pick up the slack? Do you think that, remember
it's weird, man. I mean, Big Screen refuses to say that they're not coming to PlayStation VR,
right.
But they just relaunched their own fucking headset, and they've been saying they've been coming to PSVR for years, so they're really starting to piss me off. So I don't know if they're gonna be. I don't know if like you said, man, some of the services and stuff are gone, so yeah. I'm not putting my faith in additional features and stuff. I hope that they happen, because they would be awesome, and it would just be one more reason to use my PSVR 2
right.
Whenever there's not a game releasing, or something else to do with it. But
it seems like every time something gets announced, it kind of fizzles out somehow. I remember the last video store, was that the app that was and then there was a Theater 42, I think it was called, where they were building an actual theater, a physical theater, and then they were going to have a virtual version that you could. All these things just kind of fizzled out and went nowhere. And so I'm a little bit concerned that maybe there's not enough money in it, and that no one is. That no one's interested in doing this anymore. I mean, as it is, when Sony took movies and TV shows off of their PlayStation store, I think even Sony realized there's not enough money in this anymore. The future is streaming, and so I think they sort of like, we're just going to leave this up to everybody else to take care of at this point.
Yeah, and then I think they run into licensing issues and stuff, like movie licenses, and because they're little small nobodies, and then they're trying to. They can't cut deals with like Paramount Pictures or Disney or whatever. They don't have that kind of money and stuff. So I think that's where they run into the issues, the licensing thing, and there's like a huge roadblock there. That's probably the main cause of this. Are
you at like a D, like I am? Like this, I'm not very hopeful for this shit. I
mean, yeah, kind of. I'd like to think otherwise, but I haven't seen any reason.
Yeah, without any evidence, until they start talking about this kind of stuff, I feel like there's no reason to be optimistic about it.
I think it could be, I think it could change, but yeah, at this moment in time, yeah, I don't know. It could, even if it does change, it could be like another 2 years. So it's like no use in getting excited about it right now.
Right. All right. Now, what do you think about all the poor streamers out there who are trying to use the create button? Like before launch, we were very optimistic about what Sony could do with the create button on PlayStation 5. We thought they were going to have a full suite of tools and be able to kind of avoid having to use OBS to get real creative with their streams. But we've found that they really haven't given us the things that we want, and that's very much just a share button from the PlayStation 4 carried over. Do you think we're kind of stuck where we're at, or do you think that there's a chance that things will change?
I don't know. Isn't the share button better than what it was before, or no?
I mean,
the quality
is.
Because
it was terrible before. It was a fisheye lens running at 720/30. Right?
I was going to say there's no fisheye lens anymore, right?
Yeah, but we're talking about so it started off better for sure, but we're definitely looking at from into the future from this point on. Do you think streaming will get better in the headset?
Oh, in the headset.
Yeah, this is a PSVR2 channel, AJ. We're gonna stick with the PSVR2 stuff.
You're talking about for streaming content with the PSVR2.
Yeah.
Well, they've I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's solid what it is now, and I just expect it to stay the same.
Yeah, it gets the job done. They did introduce the PlayStation 5 camera that was supposed to let you get in there on screen, which is I haven't tried out myself, but it does exist. I just don't think that they're going to take it any further. And so for this, I give it an F because I don't think there's going to be any updates to the benefits of streaming on a PlayStation 5 with the PSVR2 from here on out. I think it's
got some rollovers features from the last time, and yeah, they're going to basically keep it at that.
Yeah. So luckily it's better than it was last gen, but yeah, looking ahead to the future, it's an F for that.
Yep.
Okay. And then that brings us to accessories, AJ, and the type of VR accessories we're talking about. Is Sony going to give us haptic gloves? Are they going to give us an AIM 2.0? Are they going to give us any kind of haptic vest? Do you think it's Sense controllers in DualSense all the way? Is that pretty much where we're at for the rest of this lifespan?
Sense controllers, DualSense, racing wheel. Yeah, I don't know. They're just not. They're not doing a whole lot. So I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe a C. Like, they've released the charging thing. You can't even buy just controllers by themselves, Brian.
You know what?
Can't even buy controllers by themselves.
It's an excellent point. We haven't talked about that, and this is a perfect place to talk about that. No way to buy replacement controllers, no way to buy a backup set of controllers so that you can, so that you don't have to stop every 4.5 hours and charge them. That I think I do think that they'll start selling them separately at some point. I mean, do you think they will?
I hope so. I mean, it'd be crazy not to. Again, easy money.
Yeah.
People's dogs chew their controllers and they need a replacement. You think they're going to go buy another headset? Okay, no, so they're going to buy another one. They're going to put all the fucked up ones into the box and return it.
So now the interesting thing is here, everybody's saying in the chat, Sony's not bringing out anything, but we note that we didn't specify Sony here. So we could be talking about third-party stuff as well. We know that there's
third parties will be the best stuff.
Walkabout's bring us a grip to golf attachment for
really
for this. Yeah. Yep.
Oh shit.
Yeah, for Walkabout mini golf. And yeah, I mean, and so And then, yeah, I mean, I guess there's a bunch of, third-party small places making gun stocks, right, for our Sense controllers, so that we don't need the AIM 2.0.
If there's a haptics vest that can work or be, yeah, there will be third-party stuff, whether it's with Sony's consent or not. There will be third-party stuff that will be nice.
But I feel like everything we just mentioned is pretty minimal, and so kind of, I don't know. I'm at a C or a D.
Yeah, C because of third-party stuff.
Okay. All right, man. And that brings us to longevity. This will be the final thing we rate before our overall score. And basically what I mean by this is the PSVR 1 had a nice long life. However, the last 2 years were painful. And do you think we're going to continue seeing all the support for PSVR 2, or do you think that at a certain point it's going to be very PSVR 1-like, where everyone just moves off onto the Quest 2 or PC VR, and we just kind of like stuck where we are for a long time waiting for Sony to bring us PSVR 3?
Well, I think it's a little bit different situation than last gen, because this hardware isn't going to age as soon as it's launched.
Right.
The hardware is not the problem here, and that's a big thing. It's the software. We got to let the software catch up now. So I think this is going to be a really, really fun long ride. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
And only going to get better, like I said. And it's, there could be a point where it's like, this thing is kind of starting to get dated or whatever, but I don't see it. I think it's one of the most advanced headsets we have that's capable of playing the potentially like amazing console quality games in VR.
Here's the fun thing, AJ. The fun thing is that when Quest 3 comes out, a lot of people are like, oh man, Quest 3 is going to like sell like crazy. Quest 2 sold like crazy. And I don't think it's going to. I think it's going to do really well, but I don't think it's going to do Quest 2 numbers. We've been talking about a lot about this. I think I'm stealing some of Rypop's tinfoil hat theories. And because the Quest 3 launched at such a cheap price, and you could get the cheapest model for $300, throw it under the Christmas tree. Little Johnny gets it for Christmas, and then he only plays Gorilla Tag on it and then never plays it again, right? Sold like crazy. The attach rate's terrible. No one's buying games for it. Right? So there's a small dedicated base, but it looks like it sold really well. I don't think the price tag on the Quest 3 is going to allow that same phenomenon to happen. I don't think they're going to just sell millions upon millions upon millions right out of the gate. That small core group that still plays their Quest 2, yes, will probably upgrade because they want to stick in that ecosystem. But I don't think they're going to see the sales figures they saw the first time around. And so because of that, I think there's not going to be this switch to other headsets, or we're going to, the Quest 3 is going to be our lead platform. It's like, I think we could very much see a shift to PSVR 2 being a lead platform, because the sales of Quest 3 are not going to be the same as Quest 2. I think we could have a much better, healthier life, not just due to technology, but due to the competition not being as big as it was last gen.
Well, yeah, that's certainly true. But for both headsets to be successful, it's going to depend on the games. That's when it comes down to it. That's all that matters. Is if they can't deliver the games, then both are going to fail. So that's the number one important thing. And I luckily they have a lot of potential there, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah. Dude,
but yeah,
I'm looking at an A for longevity. Obviously, this is all speculation. This whole category, the past category and this category are all speculation. But I'm looking at an A for this. I'm very confident that the PSVR 2 will continue to deliver for years and years to come.
Yeah, I played PSVR 1 for 6 years. I'm giving this an A.
Mysteriously, played it for 6 years. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, like we said, some games take a long time to develop. So, and we in the last year or the last 2 years of PSVR, it just aged. It just couldn't hang anymore with the games that it was getting. It couldn't it couldn't get games that it needed developed on it because it wasn't powerful enough to develop for the PS4 hardware to run it. And then there was so many issues. Like, talk about friction. We talked about friction from a consumer standpoint, but we didn't even talk about the friction from a developer standpoint. People don't even know how to, like, they see a move controller and like, what the hell? How are we supposed to do this? And I don't blame a lot of them.
Yeah.
We're not going to have those same issues. So I think the accessibility to developers here is going to play a big part in the long run.
Yeah. All right, man. So I'm looking through this this list of, pluses and minuses. I mean, where are we at? We're 5 months out. And overall, I'm extremely happy with what we've seen, what's coming, and my experience so far. I feel as though major things would have had to happen, like the announcement of Grand Theft Auto 5 VR, right? And Grand Theft Online VR being something that, like, here it is, it's coming, like to actually raise my excitement even further. Right. Here I am. I'm the guy that loves Resident Evil 7. And what do I get in the first year of PSVR2? Resident Evil Village and Resident Evil 4. I get this amazingly deep cars, racing simulation. I get it. It seems like it would be weird if I complained too much, right? The only thing I want to complain about a little bit is Sony's transparency. And it's something that they've been really bad about. And it seems like it could be part of this FTC thing. It could be the Microsoft deal, or it could just be Sony's overarching issue right now, which is that they're just not very good at communicating, maybe a little too egotistical about their place in the market. But if they communicated more, I would feel 100% confident instead of 90% confident with what's going on with PSVR 2. So that's my feeling about PSVR 2 right now. And what that translates into, I feel like, is a solid B+, A- as far as an overall score, but I need to know where you're at.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, definitely feeling more of a B+, maybe. Again, to me, though, I think we've gotten some great things at launch, and we're getting some great little things trickling out here and there. But really, for me, it's the long term that I'm most excited about. Where we're going to be in 2-3 years, what games we're going to be having. That's what excites me the most right now. Even in the somewhat near future, like next year, we're going to have some things to look forward to, like Wanderer, like Resident Evil 4, probably. I'm ready. As much as I love, these little games here and there, I'm really ready for more. So I'm ready for bigger, better things. I want these games too, but I also want, I want like console games. I want PlayStation games. What bugs me is when I feel like I'm missing out. I really don't want to feel like I'm missing out on an entire generation of some of the best games out there again.
Agreed.
I played everything leading up to VR. Then VR happened and I only played VR. I don't want to miss out on other stuff or feel like I'm missing out on other stuff because of my love and commitment for VR.
Right.
There's a lot of great games that are coming out right now, and I want to be able to have something equal to that. And I know it's going to take a little time and stuff. But that's, I had my kind of I went through enough growing pains with the PSVR 1. It's like I'm ready for something a little bit more accelerated here. I want some of these games coming out. When Dead Island 2 comes out, I want it in VR. When Judas comes out, I want that in VR, That's what I'm hoping for, and
I think we're slowly getting there. I think
slowly. That's the problem. Is like it's a little too slow, but it is getting there. It's I don't know. It's kind of just doing its own thing, but yeah, man. Like I said, so B B plus. I'm very happy with the launch. We got some AAA. We got some hybrid games at launch. We got some great third-party indie games as well. But I think that there's still plenty of room for growth and way better stuff in the future.
Agreed. And honestly, I think giving it a B plus only 5 months in is being a little overly critical, and I'm also giving it a B plus. I'm not saying that I think you're wrong. I think we're being a little bit critical, saying, hey, 5 months in, we're not seeing what we want to see, except we've already seen, look at all this amazing stuff we've seen. I think this is the bigger problem isn't PSVR2. The bigger problem is Sony, and Sony needs to get their shit together. Remember what makes gamers happy. And remember how they got to this position of being on top, because I'm very, very scared that we're going to end up in a early PlayStation 3 situation again. I feel like we're almost there right now. I want to see late PlayStation.
It's not that bad.
But we're almost there. I want to see late PlayStation 3 Sony. I want them to be for the players again, as that marketing campaign did so well. I want to see get people with some charisma back up on stage. Be a little more transparent about how they're doing things. Right now Sony has no personality. Right? PlayStation blogs doesn't have personality.
They're a little, they've strayed a little bit away from their identity, being the forefront of innovation and making these amazing new games and IPs and stuff, and they're doing some of that, but also legacy, right? That's the part that probably bothers me the most, is the way they deal with legacy IPs and stuff like that. I don't like what they're doing with that. They're just moving on, and bring
us Jet Moto, you cowards.
That's right, bring us Jet Moto. No, but yeah, I think it would be cool it's amazing to me that some of the direction they go sometimes, where it's it just seems so easy to get people excited. Something like bringing Killzone back, and holding on to these IPs that people know and love and care about so much, and to use those. Look at that, like I said, I wish they did a little bit more of the Nintendo approach, which is realize the value that these IPs and characters and stuff have, and just figure out how to keep innovating with those, and then throw in some new stuff too, but you have your staples, and I don't know, especially with how they're, the $300 million game is saying that it's not sustainable in the long run. I don't know. It's just iffy, but I'm honestly more hopeful about third-party support than I am. I think first party will definitely do some cool stuff, but I'm more hopeful because of third parties and indie developers, what they're capable of. I think they're going to really save the day in the end.
Yep. It's hard to disagree with all that, AJ.
Sorry about my rant.
No, it's been quite a ride. It was a good rant. It was a good way to wrap everything up.
Unless they do more Gran Turismo stuff. I will say, if they do more Gran Turismo, then we are golden.
Yeah, I do think that when you see IPs disappear, like Killzone, like Resistance, like things that we love, Infamous, I highly doubt that has anything to do with Sony going, we're done with that. We don't have any respect for those IPs. I think it has to do more with, hey, the sales are dropping off. It doesn't seem like people are that interested in these IPs anymore. And so that would be my guess. So I think the smart thing to do when interest in IPs fade is to let those IPs cool off a little bit. And then when you bring them back, you get people that are really excited, be like, I remember Infamous. I really want to play that in VR. I think that's a great idea. Or hey, the Resistance. Oh my God, I remember playing that when PlayStation 3 first dropped. I really want, look at that. It's a new VR game. I feel like you give these things enough time, then they become a little nostalgic. They become a little retro, and they're like, oh, and then Sony gets all the praise for bringing them back. I
Crash
really,
Bandicoot, man. The first the Insane trilogy and the Spyro Reignited trilogy, those are prime examples of like, yeah, when you remaster a game that way or whatever, like it was the first, they were huge successes. So yeah, there is a place for these games to exist, these IPs and stuff.
Agreed. So hopefully we'll see the grander PlayStation scheme, what all these studios are working on, which ones are actually interested in VR, which ones have hybrids in the works, which ones are doing VR exclusive games. That's all coming. There's a huge part of me, like this whole Microsoft deal has been a much bigger deal than I think any of us initially anticipated, and they are doing and saying everything they have to in courts to basically prove that they're the lesser of the two companies. And I just don't think that this is a time where, like, really Sony wants to come out and say, look at this exclusive, look at that exclusive, like, look, and here's why Microsoft should buy Activision, right?
I mean, yeah, they're fucking them up pretty good right now, but that's what we kind of need. I mean, I hate that, you know, it kind of sucks that it happens, because I would love something like Starfield in VR or Diablo or, you know, Call of Duty. Like, I'd even take it, whatever. Like, yeah, these are big IPs. They're definitely dealing some huge blows to Sony with this, because yeah, this was I mean, this was kind of Sony's game a little bit of paying for exclusivity and things like that, and they were, you know, were back into a corner, and now they're like, well, fuck you, we'll just buy it. We can't beat you, so we'll just buy everything. And that's what they're doing, and it's corporate business at its finest. But the problem is that we're going to suffer from this.
This stuff being so public bothers me. I miss the days where we were a lot more innocent, where we didn't know the inner workings of companies. Finding out that Microsoft said that they could outspend Sony out, they could spend Sony out of business
and stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel like I just, you know, like back in the day, Nintendo and Sega felt like toy makers, right? They felt like it felt a lot more innocent.
They just had a passion for what they're doing.
You felt like if you went to visit Sega, it would be like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, right? Where there'd just be Oompa Loompas running around making video games and shit. Like, it's that was the feeling you had, and then when the business side of it becomes so public, and then we have to read into it, be like, is this why we're not hearing things from Sony's end? It's like, Jesus, it kind of ruins things, ruins the magic. Yeah. I don't like that.
Well, again, that's business. That's huge mega corporation business, and it's here to stay.
It's here to stay. All right, AJ, we got a couple tips, and then we're going to get the show on the road with 20 questions. Silver Nexus with the $10 tip says, thanks for doing this, guys. Great show. Woo! Silver Nexus, thanks for sticking around.
Almost 3 hours.
Super Elastic Bubble Plastic Game Cat with a $10 tip says, thank you for sharing your poll. Sorry, no, that's onlyfans.com/without parole. That's where I share my poll, but thank you very much for contributing. We do appreciate all the love. And I think it's time, AJ, for a little game of 20 questions before we wrap this shit up. You ready?
I'm ready, man.
All right, man. Everybody help him out, because this game is always harder than it sounds. I'm going to put 6 minutes up on the clock. You got 20 yes or no questions. Figure out what PSVR1 or PSVR2 game I'm thinking of. The only rule is that it has to be out. And I think we also said North America, right? Like, it has to be out in North America. So
yes.
Yeah. Okay. On your mark. Get Des. Go.
Is this game on PSVR1?
Yes.
Can you play this game using one move controller?
No.
Okay.
I'm double checking that, but I'm 99% sure the answer is no.
I was gonna say Golem. I was gonna try to.
Oh damn, that would have been great. Yeah.
I don't know why I was thinking. So it's on PSVR1. Is it on PSVR2 as well?
No.
Oh. Okay. How cool would it have been if it was Golem? Seemed like
yeah, I can make it that next week's.
I was feeling that.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Oh, this is crazy. According to the PlayStation Store. Oh, no. It's just the PlayStation Store being the PlayStation Store. It does require 2 move controllers.
Okay.
That's kind of a freebie. Yep.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. For wasting your time. I gave you a freebie.
Yeah. Is it a puzzle game?
Yeah, I would say it's a puzzle. Oh, you can't see us. It's a puzzle game. Yep.
Is it colorful? Like bright and colorful.
Yeah, I'd say it's bright and colorful. That's 5.
Is it cartoony?
Yeah, it's cartoony. That's 6.
Oh, shit. Can you is it silly? Is it funny?
Yeah.
Like silly, humorous, funny.
Yep.
Okay. Does it reference movies?
Yeah.
Is it about saving people?
Yeah, I think
Does it
that's
have some saving people in it?
I think that's part of it, yeah. It's a very interesting line of questioning you've gone down, AJ. It seems very specific, as if you knew the game right from the get-go.
Is it it's probably just in time, Inc., guys.
Now he's trying to throw everyone.
Do you have a glove that lets you catch bullets and deflect them and back at enemies?
No, you don't. That's 10.
That's what you did in Until You Fall, isn't it? I mean, I'm sorry. In Just in Time Inc., you had that ability, right?
AJ, it's not Just in Time Incorporated.
Okay. Is it made by Shell Games?
No.
Shit. Well, shit just got real, guys.
It's amazing the line of questioning you went down was so specific, but yet and so accurate. Yet it wasn't the game you were thinking of. What happened
I don't
here?
Remember now it threw me off because now I don't remember everything else I asked. I said colorful. Can you tell me what I did get right?
If they reference movies, if it's funny, if it's puzzles,
yes.
Cartoony.
It's all this thing, and it's not Just in Time Inc.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, chat. I need your help here. I need. So he said Lost Planet. I love you.
I feel like they've been saying Lost Planet this entire show.
Wait, how many questions am I at?
You've asked 11 so far.
And how much time do I have?
2 minutes.
Is it a simulator game?
No.
Ooh, is it based off an old PC game?
No. Oh, good one, old Darth. That would have been good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only PSVR. Sam & Max was a good one.
It references
Somebody else who's saying Lost Planet. Is it voiced by Justin Roiland?
Nope.
No?
Nope.
Oh, fuck me, man. Dude, you are getting ridiculous with these.
I didn't come up with this one.
It requires 2 move controllers, so it can't be Accounting Plus because that's Justin Roiland. Oh, but it could be the other thing. Is it Lost Planet 3?
My God.
Is it made by Alchemy Labs?
Not made by Alchemy, no.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's 15, by the way. Yep. 4 questions and a guess.
How many, how much time?
48 seconds.
Holy crap, you guys. Lost Planet 4? I don't know. Cartoony, humorous, puzzle, bright and colorful. Oh man, he went really tough on me here. What else? Gosh. Has this developer made other VR games?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the answer is yes. Yes.
Is it? Does it star?
Yes.
Does this game about depression?
Yeah, actually, partially.
It is. Does this game where you play as a ghost?
No, damn close though.
Fook.
Come on, you're out of time, but I'm going to giving you one more guess.
Okay.
Just guess the name of the game because you're out of time. Let's do this.
Okay, my guess is going to be. I'm just gonna say Ghost Giant, even though it's not.
September 16th, 2019. AJ, bring yourself back to a little game based on a movie called Groundhog Day. Like father, like son, made by the same team who made Invisible Hours.
Yeah.
So you like named the other game that they made, or you were on the track of the other game that they made.
Tequila Gameworks.
Tequila Works, yeah.
Tequila Works.
Yeah. Yeah.
So close. So close.
So close. Dude, I couldn't remember. So Sass in voice chat recommended this game today. He never watches 20 questions. He's one of the 100 people that tune out before the 20 questions start. And I said, you pick the game as if you promise to watch it. And I'll tell you, man, when he suggested this game, I had to go find our episode of GamesCast Live where we talked about it because I couldn't remember if you had played it or not. And yeah, we talked a lot about this game.
Yeah, I played it. Well, I played it for like 20 minutes and got bored.
Oh, Jesus. So in one eye out the other is what you're saying.
I didn't like it very much. Okay. I was so bored. But that was a good pick, though. That was a nice tough one. I know you like to throw those really tough questions.
It's a relatively deep cut, despite being based on Groundhog Day.
I could have guessed it if I. It's just a hard one. It's just really hard.
It was a hard one. I don't think I would have gotten it, honestly. So
yeah.
So, all right, you guys, listen, we got to get out of here because this has been a 3-hour show. 3-hour show. So we appreciate everybody who stuck around. Thank you, everybody who helps the channel run, including Sci-Fi Game Cat Henry, who's not back from vacation. Sorry about the timestamps on a 3-hour show. They do not exist. Also, Jay Meow, who uploads this behemoth of a show to podcast services of your choice. Also, all the mods who make my life so much easier each and every day. Everyone who supports this channel financially, not just over here as being a member, but over on Patreon, patreon.com/withoutparolegames. Don't forget, up there is the David Hader, Jennifer Hale interview. But you know what? If you don't want to support the channel for $5 more a month, that's totally cool. Very, very shortly, that interview will be on the channel. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Everybody who tips during the show, everybody who hangs out, helps during 20 questions. Of course, all you cats out there who sit back, watch the show, and don't say a word. We know you're out there and we love you just as much. Hey, AJ. It's Monday. Can I cue the cat?
Cue the cat, Brian, because I want to say have a happy, fun, and safe 4th of July to all my peoples out there. JL, Synapse tonight, he says, Sin Apes. Silver Nexus, my dude, thank you. It says, be merry, take care, and have a fun gaming, Game Cats. Indie Soul loves VR, thank you. He says, thanks for all the polls, Brian.
Anytime.
Thank you, man.
Listen, if all those people complaining about the polls don't show up for the Sunday show, I'm going to lose it.
Super Elastic Bubble Plastic Game Cat says, when AJ streaming again? Possibly tomorrow or the next day. Possibly. Rashawn Mills, later. Stevie Dan 1969. Synapse is available in the UK. Yes, let us know how you guys like it. Emily Baxter, hashtag cartoon game, which kitten. Cue to reprojected cat vomit. Ian Stambridge. They better not ever place the cat with a weasel. What is everybody talking about? I have no idea. Paper Wings, the Game Cat. Great mass debate tonight, guys. Thank you, Paper Wings. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. Carson, fist bump to you. Old Darth says bye-bye. 4D, the 4-dimensional Game Cat marathon show. Great job. Thanks, guys. Thank you, 4D, for sticking around. My homie. Mac Manus 1 or Mac Man News. Thank you for watching. Super Galaxy Godstar. What's up, homie? Good to see you. Mark Poppin, Pringles Leaf. Thank you. Looper, the Underground, Cape Cat Elite Name Squad in the house with the €2 donation says, sorry, it was false memory. You never had Kowloon.
Yeah, the last tip you sent was in relation to Kowloon. I said it has to be Kowloon's Gate, yeah, it has to be North America. It had to be a North America game for the 20 questions question. And he was like, you had Kowloon once. It's not limited to North America. That was a €2 tip. And then he followed it up. Sorry, false memory. You never did Kowloon. So let's keep it to North American releases only. Thank you, Looper, the keeper of the 20 questions. You're amazing. I can't believe you've documented each and every single one of these games that we've ever played. Amazing.
Kowloon's Gate, man. What a fun, weird game.
Yeah, that was great.
That's like one of the best weird games I've ever played.
It's shocking for like a game that didn't really heavily rely on any language or translation that we never got it in the States.
Yeah. Atmos VR. What is up, my dude?
That's it. No more shout outs. I'm tired.
I gotta say goodbye to Mark Smith.
Tired of sitting.
Cat allergic game cat.
You guys are awesome.
Man, I said it earlier. We don't have stands. We've got Dan's, and it is much, much better. So what you doing later?
Happy Independence Eve, everybody.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna go play Survive. I gotta play Survive because I'm gonna review that shit this week, and I'm almost done.
Nice.
If you can believe it, we've been like marathon. Yeah, we've been playing it 4-player. Me and Rody and MRI and Rypop. We've been marathoning that game, just sinking hours and hours into it. And I'm gonna finish that shit up hopefully today. It's not as bad as people thought. People are saying it's 19 hours or something, but I think that's if you want to go do everything. Like if you want to go explore the houses and if you want to level up your character and get all the magazines and perks and everything. I think we're going to do it much, much faster than that. But I'll keep you posted. I should have the review up later this week.
I'm gonna probably get back to playing my Resident Evil Village of Shadows playthrough. God, that game's so fun.
Nice. I want to do. Yeah, I gotta do that soon too. So, all right, you guys. Listen, have a great night. We'll see you over on Discord. We love y'all.